Ahoy, mateys! 'Tis I, Captain Horatio Honeyflakes, and I be here to tell you about me newest crowdfunding campaign. The adventures continue with me crew, the Mighty Mascots, in issues 7, 8, and 9. Just focus your looking glass on the amazing artwork of Ian Warianto and Anton Bondi. Me crew, the Mighty Mascots, are up against some scurvy scallywags, and we need ye help to defeat them. There be a bounty of exclusive treasure, only available here, where X marks the spot. I spy a huge coffer of bonuses and stretch goals on the horizon. Then please consider pledging so we can continue these adventures with the weirdest crew I ever had the pleasure of sailing with. Mascots Unleashed!
Hey, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Indie Comics Relay. I'm your host, Keith Gleason, creator of the Mighty Mascots, promoter for the Plastic City Comic-Con. With me, as always, Johnny C., creator of Sartana, Surrounded by Death and the Pond.
And the pond for Roger Morocco.
And the pond for Roger Morocco. And our third co-host, Harry G.,
hey,
graphic artist extraordinaire and pop culture aficionado.
Happy Halloween Eve.
Guys? Yes.
I don't think I've ever met an aficionado before.
Yeah.
I never knew I was one, but I guess.
I'm just like throwing everything out there that I can.
How are you can get?
Yeah, exactly. How you gents doing this week?
Not
Doing
bad,
all right.
man. Not bad. How was everybody's weekend?
What's up?
How was everybody's weekend?
Good, man. Mine was packed. I actually worked the store this weekend. I was at the store almost the entire weekend. Yeah, well, I think now, being in retail, the closer you get to Christmas, the more weekends, and whenever I'm not at a convention, they usually put me on, Yeah. But yesterday it was pretty chill. It was nice, relaxing day at the store.
Nice.
Just bagging and boarding stuff, and
that's like getting into the zen of like just bagging and boarding. It's like a repeat process.
Yeah,
like doing the dishes or whatever. It's just you check out mentally and you just do it.
Yeah, exactly. And
do you guys already have Christmas displays up at your store, or
no? I don't get much into the decoration stuff, really, but
yeah.
They did take a mannequin from the mall store and then put it in the Clinton store, and they dressed it up like Scream, like Ghostface,
Oh, that's cool.
So they did do a little bit, I guess, of Halloween stuff,
Yeah.
And we also had an appearance there last weekend, which I think I talked about a little bit, that me and Amy did, instead of going to the Westminster outdoor thing. So that was good. It was a good little appearance. And and Tim keeps talking about having you down at some point, Johnny, too.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I figured we could sell books. Maybe Harry could come, and maybe I don't know if we could do a show with our cell phones or something. We could go live on the channel and maybe do something. I don't know.
Yeah.
We can finally try out our acapella act.
Barbershop,
right?
Or barbershop
Harry?
-1.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I know they're gonna have. I think they're working on having Joe Schmalke come down at some point because, well, I don't know if you know, like the one-stop shop, Tim, the owner, and then Scott, and that works with me. They do a lot of like store exclusive covers. So like, there's an Image series coming out, I think next month. Yeah, I think it's next month. It's called The Deviant. It's a new James Tynion book.
Oh, okay.
And it's basically a horror book. Like it looks kind of like Silent Night, Deadly Night. There's like a guy with like a Santa Claus hat going around murdering people or something,
cool. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and Tim got a Joe Schmalke exclusive cover for the store.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, they're big on that. Like it's like a little side business.
Yeah, sorry. Would they only do it for like big tier books, or would they do it for like if Mighty Mascots has, the next campaign, you could do a, store exclusive cover?
I don't know if they would do that. I'd have to ask Tim about that. Probably not, because unless it's like Well, I guess if we get Diamond distribution again at some point, maybe it might be viable.
Yeah.
But like, I think he's done like the Archie books, like Scott that I work with did a cover for Archie recently. That was like the Corpse Bride, but with Archie. So you know, the Corpse Bride poster, but it's like with Archie, and that was pretty cool. And then they did another one that was like the cover of Child's Play 2, but with Archie, you know. So
that's a great cover too.
Yeah, and I guess it does really well for the store, like, because like the online business, when Tim posts one of those covers, you get all those collectors that come and they have to have every cover, you know. So yeah, and then they'll CGC a few of them, you know, to put on the
those
shelf
completionists, God bless them, they have to buy it all.
I know, I love it. Oh, and I checked to see if Punisher #1 was out yet.
It's not out yet.
I guess it's November sometime. So
can you
when I see it
for me?
Yeah, when I see it, I can snag you a copy.
Thank you, I appreciate that, Keith.
That'd be a good way for me to read it real quick too.
Yeah, for sure.
I wasn't planning on getting it, but if it's good, maybe I'll buy myself a copy. You know?
Like I said, I the illustrator on that is he illustrated a book with my booth mate in San Diego. So I kind of have a connection there, and I've met David Pupos in the past, and he actually backed the Surrounded by Death campaign. So I'd love to be able to get, you know, and Punisher's my favorite character, so I'd love to get the book signed by people.
Yeah, and plus it's a new Punisher, so whether it works or not, I don't know if this guy will stick around or he might become part of the continuity though, like, you know, the way Miles Morales did. Like even if they bring Frank Castle back down the road, he might be another Punisher, you know. That's
kind of like how they had like multiple Wolverines at one point.
Or something
what the hell was going on.
Speaking of Marvel, I just read a really good book that I've been raving about from Marvel, and I can't believe it because I haven't loved the Marvel book, and I can't even tell you how long. But this book came out called Gods. It was just like this random. It's by Jonathan Hickman, which is becoming one of my favorite writers. He's just so good. But it's new characters, but they're like you know, like they're like somewhere between like Doctor Strange, magician, and like celestial universal kind of thing. But it was really good, dude. I was like, I felt like I read something fresh from Marvel, which I cannot believe.
It's rare.
So recommend that. If you guys see it, pick it up. God's #1.
I'll have to check it out. Now, do you already see it as a movie?
I could see it as a movie. The problem is the main dude kind of looks like Doctor Strange, so it might cause some confusion. But overall, it was really good. I mean, I felt like, oh my god, I'm reading something good from Marvel. I can't believe this, you know. You know, so that one I would recommend.
Every so often they'll put out this like offshoot thing, and they're so interesting. There's one series they did called Powerless for a while, and basically took all the Marvel superheroes, or a few of them, and then it kind of made like real life counterparts where they're, you know, it's Peter Parker, but he was never bitten by a spider. And he kind of has this like feeling within him, like he's meant for more. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was a really interesting series.
Well, that, and I gotta admit, like even the new Captain America was really good because they got JMS back.
Oh,
so JMS writing Cap is really good. I haven't read.
This Spider-Man was the best.
Yeah, it was. It was really good. There's only been one issue. Well, there's 2 out, but I haven't read 2 yet. But I read 1 and I loved it. So maybe Marvel's making another tip back into the good direction again. I don't know.
I think they're doing season 2 of What If, I think.
Yeah, it's coming up, right?
Yeah, I think so.
What If was one of my favorite parts of, or one of my favorite Marvel shows to date, aside from like Loki and Moon Knight.
I kind of wish they would go like a little more deeper than the movies, though, with those.
Well, maybe they are in the sequel, in the second
I hope so.
season.
I think that'd be great. You know?
They were all the episodes were all too short. They all could have benefited from being longer, like, you know, an hour or so.
Yeah, and they're also predicting the Marvels is going to be a huge flop, huh? I've been hearing.
I don't know. I don't know what to expect with that one. I really would like to go see that movie and be pleasantly surprised.
I hope. I mean, if you come back and you say, Keith, I'm not even bullshitting, this is good.
Yeah, and you know I wouldn't bullshit you either.
Yeah. If you say it's good, you might consider watching it, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll see how that goes, you know? But anything else going on with you gents this week, or?
Terry?
Well, I got something weird happening, and maybe I'll tell. Maybe towards the end of the show, it'll be my announcement. I guess it's not really
okay.
it's not really a big thing. It's just like another weird side project that's happening. So,
Oh, cool.
I'd like
kinda-
to
Well,
hear
good.
about
I'm
it.
glad you're getting some stuff going.
yeah,
Heck yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of a freelancer now myself, trying to grab
Yeah.
letting jobs left
it's
and right.
it's
and
kind of
stuff.
fun. I mean, I'm doing all kinds of weird things that I've never had a chance or time to do before. And now that I'm not at the other place that we used to work at, Deloitte, it's kind of fun to. I mean, I did a Hannaford's commercial like maybe like a year ago. I did like
cool.
I was like a background, like an extra. I was a pixel in the background, and
Nice.
so that was kind of fun. And I'm doing like side stuff with my friend Bill, for his shop and other things. So it's kind of fun.
Hey man, all that stuff leads to other things usually, so
Right.
it's not a
Yeah.
bad thing to do,
Right.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're getting some work.
Should I show off? Should we do this later or
Oh yeah, you got some. What do you think, Johnny? Should we show off his?
I think we should do it now. Let's show
do
it up
it
real
now?
quick. Why
Just
not?
because
Yeah,
it's,
share the
just
screen again,
because-
Harry.
It's because it's Halloween Eve. I have
Yeah,
some
it's
like
Devil's Night. Everybody watch The Crow tonight.
I have some
And
past.
when you watch
Fire
The
it
Crow,
up.
turn down
Fire
your.
it up.
That's no skink. That's skink right there. Skink dead. When you watch The Crow tonight, everybody's gonna have to vow to watch The Crow tonight. Turn the color contrast down on your TV. Watch The Crow in black and white. You're welcome.
Really? Never did that. It's worth it.
It's like watching the comic book come to life a little bit.
Is anything happening?
I got it
Here we
here.
go.
But it looks like you got the
Oh,
wrong.
Whoa!
you have to-
We were just in Inception.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Look at that.
All right. No, this is very, very. Can you see anything?
Yeah, we can see it if you want to.
All right.
Make
This
it
is
bigger.
very
Yes,
early.
You have
Cool.
control now of the
Okay,
screen.
so this is very, very early. It's like some past pumpkins of painted. I try to do one every year, but I've been slacking the
Okay.
past few years. Anyway, here's like a squash that looks like Bert's head and Ernie. But I'm gonna go simple to more complex and better. I get better as
Okay.
I go along. All right, so here's Ernie and Bert, whatever. Here's I love Frankenstein, so I try to do like.
Oh, cool.
this
You
is kind of
painted
like
that?
Yeah, this is all like acrylic paint on pumpkins because I don't want to carve pumpkins because I don't want to carve my fingers off because I'm my hands are my livelihood. So
Yeah.
so here's
Gotta protect the moneymaker.
Yeah.
so years ago I started painting pumpkins at parties just because I didn't feel like carving so I used to do like one off drawings on on the pumpkin with paint.
Okay.
So then, then I did this other one. These are very simple towards the beginning of my career, painting career. Here's
Who is
Johnny
that? Is
Damon.
It's,
It's Johnny Damon after they won the World Series. Very, it's not
okay.
it's not that great,
yeah.
but I did it at a party, so whatever.
That's pretty good though.
yeah.
It was a
not
good
bad.
attempt, early on, and then this is
Oh,
It's a
that's
good
great.
one.
this is one I did at work using all work like office supplies. So the white out for the eyes. And I used a Sharpie for the line work, and
Okay.
the yellow is a highlighter. So it's
Very
all
Oh,
office.
that's funny.
And I did it at work too because I was bored. This is at the place that we used to work at.
I love the clever use of orange to orange as the backdrop.
figured-
So,
yeah, I
you know,
figured
I
I'd say-
think it works. Yeah, it works.
I figured I'd save on the orange paint. So
Yeah. That's
so
great.
here's
Oh, that's a good
PVA.
one.
So now
Dude, that
this
is great.
this is two pumpkins glued together. Then I painted. Well, I painted them first, and I glued them together.
Oh, that's cool. You
So
did
I'm
that
getting-
this year?
No, this is like past year pumpkins. This is like,
Oh, wow,
a few
okay.
years ago. This is back probably when the movies were out.
Oh,
so
wow.
and here's the back of him, his backside. So I went,
Dude, that came out great.
I went all out, 3D or whatever, And so instead of painting, just one image on the pumpkin, the whole pumpkin became something, or so here's that,
That's
and then
great work, man.
this is my most scariest pumpkin ever. This is back when he was.
It's frightening.
This was
It's
back when
frightening.
he was running for president. I never thought he'd ever win. So
It's
so he's a joke.
uncanny how,
Yeah,
how
bigot.
much you captured his likeness. It's
Harry,
uncanny.
Harry, you bigot.
I'm like, it's a joke. He's not gonna win, and then of course he won. So it's like the most scariest pumpkin ever.
That is hilarious.
That's funny,
Although you
man.
didn't even need to color the face, it could have just kept it orange. It would have
Exactly, exactly.
It would have worked.
Right.
Yeah, no shit.
Good work, Harry. That's fantastic.
And not to get too political, but when he goes to prison, you won't know when his skin ends and his jumpsuit begins. But whatever. Anyway, moving on. This is
awesome. That's a great one. Dude,
great use of pumpkin stems.
The Night King, from
I love it. Yeah, that's great.
So here's I want to do one when I showed steps. So I wanted this year. I wanted to paint, not this year, but like this particular year, I wanted to paint the Headless Horseman. I'm like, I'll just do that. But nobody knows who the Headless Horseman looks like, or what he looks like. He's like a Hessian soldier. I'm like, what am I doing? So I think around this time, I'll show you. So I painted. I wanted to do Herschel from The Walking Dead.
Yeah,
because he had his head chopped off. So here's that. Then I painted a face on there, Herschel's face.
Yeah, I remember this one.
Yeah, and I added more detail to it, and then more gore, whatever. And here he is eating dinner. and then I gave it to him.
Yeah, I remember that. That's how. This is why I remember it.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So then my friends were saying, Harry, you gave him that pumpkin? I'm like, well, yeah, why not? I was like, hey, you realize that the second you walked away, you probably chucked it in the trash. I'm like, who cares? Just to have the story is pretty cool. I gave Herschel his
question. Harry, now you gave him that? Did he give you a free autograph or a free picture?
No. He said oh, great. Now I can put it with my other one, the mechanical one they had of him on the from the show. But then my friends were making fun of me. So then a year later, I saw him at a different convention, actually in Georgia, Atlanta. Yeah. And I'm like, so hey, I'm the guy that gave you that pumpkin a year ago. He's like, oh yeah, right. I'm like you don't you can you don't have to lie to me. Did you throw it away after? It's like, oh no, I gave it to my sister who's also an artist, and she put some sprayed it with preservative, and she shellacked it, and
oh cool, so they were able to save it from rotting and stuff,
and she put it on her mantle, so it's kind of cool.
Oh, that's really cool, man.
That's really cool,
yeah.
dude.
I always like to think that if you give something to a celebrity, they always keep it, or at least pass it off. They never throw it away because they themselves, being artists or performing artists, or they would respect that enough to not do that unless they're really just shitty people.
Right. So that's kind of cool. But then of course he died a few years after that. So it's kind of sad.
Yeah. I got to interview him once at Rhode Island when I was working for Con Men. Still, I don't know if you remember.
I loved him in that. Did you guys ever see that underground horror movie, Behind the Mask?
Oh yeah,
he's great in that as the former killer. That's
right.
Movie. But real quick, I want to just say hello to everybody and then bring in tonight's guests.
Yeah.
So we got Ara with us. Hello, greetings all. Good to see you, Ara.
Always good to see you, Ara.
My wife is here with us.
Hey, Amy.
Hey, Amy.
And then let me see. There are not many people commenting tonight. Oh, Ara said to read something fresh, read Keith Gleason and Johnny C. That is awesome.
Thank you, Ara.
Thank you, buddy.
You're awesome.
My wife said,
love you.
Herschel, haha, rip Scott Wilson.
Right.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I'm excited because tonight's guests are two of our favorites, and one of them was added actually today. We got so we had Nandor Fox Shaffer scheduled originally, and then Julius hit me up today looking to grab a spot, and I figured, I saw that his campaign had 10 days left, so I was like, well, we better have him on tonight because next week we have, I think it's your friend Johnny, right? The one that
JC. Yep, I've got to get you his book. We got to meet at some point this week or something.
Okay, yeah. We'll have to do something. Maybe go see a movie or something.
Yeah.
No way I can grab it from you. But I figured doing a show with a new guest is kind of unpredictable. Whereas I figured Nandor and Julius would be, a good fit together.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. And both their books are some of my favorites.
Yeah, and both have like a strong female lead. So I figured it'd be perfect to talk about that,
Yep.
So. All right. Without further ado, let's bring it to the guest. Let's start with Mr. Nandor Fox Shaffer. What's up, Nandor? Thanks for coming back.
Yeah, this is so great. I'm so happy to be here, and this is one of my favorite shows to come on and talk comics and be here. So great to see
Awesome,
you
man.
guys.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming back,
absolutely.
Nandor. Thanks for taking the time. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Oh
And then
yeah, I love it.
He always sounds good. His mic sounds amazing.
and then we got Mr. Julius Freeman. What's
Hello,
up,
everyone.
Julius?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Welcome
man.
back,
We
man.
could work you in last minute, like
Yeah, thank you for that. I really do appreciate that.
I mean, you two guys, and I'm not blowing smoke up both your butts, but like you two are, been on the show probably like the most, wouldn't you say, Johnny? Were they like our most frequent guests, you'd say?
I'd say so, yeah. And I mean, both books I absolutely fell in love with. I mean, Ghetto Dragon, like I said, I've said before, Julius wrote specifically for me. He didn't know me at the time, but he wrote it specifically for me. And even like Manchild, Nandor, I feel like you wrote it like about me, about me without knowing me at the time. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're like the Alec Baldwin of I see it,
Yeah. I feel bad, Nando. I still have not read Manchild #2. I haven't.
Oh.
Yet. My apologies.
It's been like what? I think you fulfilled it like 4 months ago at this point.
Yeah, I did.
Honestly, I still have some like mailers that are not even open yet. So sometimes it's a surprise. Like if I have a free moment, I'll crack one open and it's like, oh, this already arrived.
Yeah.
It's the curse. It's the curse of the comic book reader. We have stacks and stacks of books that we can't have enough time to read.
Yeah.
It's like Christmas on any given day, you know?
Right,
like
yeah.
I open the package, it's like, oh look, this came in. I can read it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I have a friend who let me the Green Lantern Rebirth trade, and I had it for like a month and a half, and every week he was like, "Hey, have you read it yet? Have you read it yet?" I was like, "I'm sorry, man, I don't have the time yet to finish it."
And there's that stack, man. Getting through that stack is tough, man. Let me tell you.
And it never gets smaller, like if only it only gets bigger, with
You know how many
stuff,
times I've had to replace a bookshelf from breaking?
filled with comic goodness, Johnny.
What's that?
It was filled with comic goodness. It couldn't hold it any
Yeah,
longer.
exactly, man. This was metal, so good luck.
So while we're on the subject of Manchild, though, Nandor, are you going to come back with more issues of that? I know you're doing the Fabled Offering now, but are you done with that series, or you got more coming?
Oh, I definitely have more coming. Yeah.
cool.
So we're gonna be bringing issue 3 next year, and maybe even issue 4 if we can fit it in. But yeah,
I forget. Is that a monthly, or were you doing that as a mini?
it's a mini. Yeah, it's gonna be a
Okay.
mini series. It's gonna be 6 issues,
Okay.
and I'm also gonna be launching volume 3 of Seasons next year too. So I'll be bringing a couple of my books back next year. So hopefully if everything works out the way I need it to. But yeah, I have had great response from Manchild, and I wanted to see if I could do issue 3 this year, but it wasn't going to work. So I had this other project, the Fabled Offering, I really wanted to get off the ground. And so yeah, I'm excited to share it with everyone.
Do you have a hard time juggling like the multiple projects and
I do like it's a good problem to have, but I worry about making readers wait too long, and I worry about just being able to fulfill everything on time while I'm juggling these other projects, and then also paying my artists, and trying to budget all of that too. So that creates some issues, but it's been good because my whole business model, my whole business plan for the last few years has kind of been trying to move in different genres and move in different books, so that hopefully people will start to follow one or the other, and kind of they'll cross pollinate and kind of help each other. So that's what I've been trying to do, and it's worked out so far. So we'll see how it goes, but it's been great because as a writer, you're always trying to surprise people and kind of wow people, and not be pigeonholed to a specific genre. At least for me, it's like I want to show you that I'm passionate about the craft, and that I can do it all if I want to, and there are so many genres I'm passionate about and that I love. So to be able to do that has been really satisfying.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Like I feel like any good story, like as long as it's a good story, it almost doesn't matter what genre you put it in. Like,
right, right.
if you can tell a good story with character development and character arcs and things like that, and themes and whatever, but you could do it into other, whatever genre that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Genre mashup is like the gold standard nowadays. It's like you gotta kind of have
I love it. Like
two things that you're messing with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, Nandor, I wanted to ask: are you doing this full time, or is it like something you do as well as another job?
Yeah, no, I do comics as my side hustle. That's what I call it. And I do signings and conventions and stuff when I can, but it's mostly kind of still at this point where it's more of a part-time job than anything.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I ask only because you do so much. So it's like
I don't feel like I do, but thank you.
Yeah, no, you do a lot, man. You do a lot. So respect for that,
Thank
Well,
you.
it was one thing I was thinking too, like, because I like what you do, Nandor and Julius as well. But like I was wondering, like, for me, like I'm thinking like with future crowdfunding and stuff, like how to make it like quicker, like how to put it together quicker. Like I'm trying to think like if I should do less perks in the future, just like, you have like a digital and then the physical, and then I don't know, maybe like a catch-up bundle, and then that's it, or something like that.
Right.
Like, I'm wondering if that's like more viable, or if it looks like it's sloppy to people coming to your crowdfunding. I don't know. Like, I guess something we could discuss, but like, what were you gonna say, Johnny?
I was gonna say, I think that's viable, and I think it all comes down to what your price point's gonna be. Right. If you're gonna do a campaign where everything you're selling is flat printed material, then you want to think about that and price it accordingly. Versus, say, if you're going to do a campaign that has all the tchotchkes and t-shirts and mugs and whatever you want to do, that's a whole different ball game. And I think both campaigns attract different audiences. So I think, you might have somebody who would overlook it because they want something a little bit more gimmicky versus somebody who's simply just looking for comics. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, usually when I go to like especially a comic crowdfunder, like that's usually all I want is the comic, so usually sometimes there's some stuff that they offer that are like, oh, that's
a cereal box, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, things like that, but like, sometimes like, yeah, you see something like I gotta have that, but most of the time, I'd say 80% of the time, I just want the book, And I've been doing kind of what you do, Johnny, whereas sometimes I'll do just the digital backing. That way, I'm supportive, but like, it's a little less usually to get in on the digital level.
You're doing a creator a favor if you back their digital bundle, in the sense that unless you really want the book, the digital is like you're doing them a favor. They don't have to ship it out. It's as simple as sending out a link. You know what I mean? Like they have enough stress on their plate checking Indiegogo or Kickstarter once a day to placate the anxiety in their heads. So
once a day,
once every 5 minutes.
Yeah,
every time you get that email, you got to go check out the total. Yeah,
digital is a great way to show support because you're buying the digital comic, you're showing the support, and you're taking a little stress off their plate from having to ship out goods.
Yeah, definitely, and hey, we got Tony James in the house. Happy Halloween,
hey,
guys.
Tony.
What's up, Tony?
Hey, Tony.
I feel bad. I haven't backed his Star Noir book 2 yet.
So I was just going to say, I just read Tony's newsletter, and he's a little behind on Star Noir. So he can get all the help he can get right now. So if you're going to back it now.
Yeah, I'm going to try to do it. Like, when
does
it end?
The book is at stake.
When does it end? Do you know, Johnny?
Very soon.
You probably can put it in the chat.
Yeah,
but I want to try to back it. The thing is like things are tight money wise, so I just
I hear you. I turned up my bid a little bit after he was on the show because there was a couple of things that he added on the campaign. I was like, oh, that's really cool. I want to grab that. November 17th.
17th. Okay, so I got some time. Yeah, I'll definitely
there.
try to back before that ends.
Highly
I do
recommend
like
that
the book, and I want to see it make it all the way to the end because I think
Yeah,
I'm
I'm a proud backer of it. I can't wait to read it. I think it looks awesome. I didn't get book 1, but I remember seeing it when he was crowdfunding it, and I was like, "Oh, that book looks amazing," because I love noir stories and I love alien stories. I thought, "Oh, this looks so cool." And so when he's bringing book 2, I was like, "Oh, I have to get on this." So I can't wait to get those.
So
you'll love it, Nandor. It's awesome.
Yeah,
you backed both. Yeah, the first one's great. We read it. He was on the show 2 weeks ago, I think, maybe, or at this point, and I got to read it right before the show, so it was good. He does deliver the goods as far as like a noir story and stuff. So
awesome.
And
awesome.
like Amy just said, Star Noir here.
No, there you go.
There you
It's
go.
in the chat if you guys want to back it. Another frequent guest of ours,
Yes.
So gents, what's going on? Tell me a little bit about like I haven't seen you guys in a few months. What's been new? What's since the last time
Awesome,
you've
man.
been
Grinding like everyone else in the
Grinding
world,
like
right?
everyone
Trying to
else.
survive this economic downturn, trying to get through this lull that's hit befallen on all of us. And
Are you guys
I
finding it a little tougher now with
oh yeah,
the way the economy is? Like,
Yeah.
is the backing not quite the level it was? Are you guys seeing that?
Yeah, I have been. It's a combination of a lot of things. I think it's the combination of some campaigns being extremely late, some campaigns that did fulfill, but either people didn't get a chance to read it, as we discussed about the stacks of books that we haven't had a chance to read,
Yeah.
or it could. I think it's also the factor of maybe they received some books and they read it and went, "Ooh, it's not very good. Maybe I should." Back next one,
There's definitely a little bit of that going on. I think,
and it's fair. It's all fair. You put your stuff out there. That's the risk you take. You gotta. The thing is, I think the problem. I think the major problem that I've observed is that readers, for some reason, are afraid to let people know, or the creators know, how they really feel about books. And I'm here to tell you guys, if you're a reader, if you're a backer of a campaign, read it. And if it's not good, let us know. How else are we gonna know? How else are we gonna know to get better? If you don't let us know, hey, the story was missing, a couple of beats here, or I didn't really feel the character connect. I couldn't connect with the character, or the plot didn't really hit for me, or whatever the case may be. Because if we don't hear anything, how will we know, right? How will we know to get better?
Yeah, and a good constructive criticism is huge, I think,
Absolutely.
And usually, like, you can also, like, if you get enough people like criticizing the book, and usually you'll start to see certain things emerge, like where they talk about this, each person talks about the same part of the story that doesn't work for them. And that's when like, oh, okay, so I got to work on this, because it's
right.
Or you can replace the word criticism with feedback, as a better,
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Sounds more positive.
A big shout out to our friends at Global Comics, because if you have your book uploaded over there and it's available to read, you can look at a statistical graph to see at what page people decide to drop off.
Right.
That's an amazing tool that
is.
you could, as a creator, so that way, if you're even not getting the honest feedback from people, because it's almost like in the cultural zeitgeist to not crush the creator's dream.
Yeah.
So they'll lie to you, not because they, it's because they care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to that effect, you can actually literally see where people go, okay, I'm out of this story.
Oh, that is a very helpful tool, and I think that's another factor that a lot of writers and creators don't develop. I mean, it's one thing developing your style, it's one thing developing your skills as a writer. The other thing you have to develop is the thick skin that comes with the territory,
Yeah, it does. Like, and it's hard because, like, the first time I was criticized about, one of my projects, it took a while. To
it hurts.
It does. It does
burns.
hurt.
It really does burn.
Because we carry self-doubt on our shoulder by default for having
it's kind of a good thing, though, because like in this world or in sports or whatever, I mean, you don't know, you can't learn unless you fail. Failing is or not failing, but maybe some harsh feedback, is a good motivator. You know what I mean? To like,
how you get better. Like, you know,
Right.
in a nutshell. Like,
Yeah, unless the person is just, being a
A
dick,
jerk.
but like,
Right.
yeah.
We don't
But
want
like,
that's
dicks.
the problem though. It's hard to tell like what
right,
no
right.
where that is. Like if it's somebody that has a chip on their shoulder against you, or if they're being legit, you know. So that was always
Yeah.
tough, you know.
Yeah,
And,
and it's hard. And I think you made a good point, Keith. It's like if you get multiple people saying there's, something that trips them up in the story, that's like your common factor that you can really trust, because sometimes when people will talk about a certain story, or even if it's not yours, it might just be a movie you like or a book you read, and you know your favorite part of that book could be the part that they hate the most, and so
Right.
that makes it really difficult too, because if someone comes to you and says, I didn't really like this scene in this book, I didn't really understand it, and I've had that where someone would say I didn't really get that part, or that wasn't my favorite part. Like for me, a child example, some people really love the superhero stuff, but they don't really
Okay.
care for the Rufus stuff, the slice of life stuff. And then
Yeah.
I've had other people that say, I don't really care about the superhero stuff. I like following
The
Rufus and seeing him
yeah.
with his friends. And so that's been kind of an interesting fan base of feedback, because I'm like, well, I hope I can bring you all together at some point, but it's interesting to see certain fans how the two separate stories resonate with people differently.
Yeah, and so I just imagine in a case like that, that's kind of a unique one, because it's like, what do you
Right.
do? Like, you know, you
That's awesome,
at that
man.
point you trust in yourself that your story you're telling is gonna
Mm.
bring them
Yeah.
together.
Yeah. I got
I
to
have, I have
bring
another.
it together.
It's a buildup. You
Yeah.
have a
Right.
buildup happening, and that's really awesome creatively.
I have
Yeah,
another bit of advice. Whenever you're receiving negative feedback, make sure you're outside in the rain. That way, if you start crying, no one will know that you're.
hide the tears.
Way to-
Well, my personal approach is I kind of use the analogy of the scale. How much,
Okay.
how many, like, you mentioned Nandor, some people like superhero stuff, some people don't, some people like
Yeah.
the slice of life stuff. So you got to just scale it and weigh it to see, okay, well, I'm getting more of this, or I'm getting less than that, whatever. And then based on that, that's where you could kind of shift and move around and see what works best for your readers. Because that's the one thing
Yeah.
that we have to also recognize is keeping our readers happy and engaged and wanting to come back to read more of our
Yeah.
stuff.
Although I think in like the story you're telling, Nandor, like I feel like there'll be a payoff when those two things
Yeah.
come together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I have to tell them, like, just hang on. I hate,
There you go.
telling people that, because it takes so long for an issue to come out. And I feel like it's a big ask. But I know where it's headed, and I know that I'm really satisfied as a reader, and and as the creator, it's like I've read enough comics. I feel like I can look at it and I can go, that would be satisfying to me if I just trusted the creator to follow through with their plans. And so it's a difficult toss up, because and then when there are some people that are like, oh, the superhero stuff resonates with me more and the slice of life stuff doesn't, it makes me want to make the slice of life stuff better so that it will resonate with them, and that
yeah.
it'll that will become their favorite part of the book, actually. It's like, that's what I'm hoping, but it just depends.
I guess that's where the feedback would help a little. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like where it's
Yeah.
like, how can I beef this side of the story up a little bit to win those people over? Even if you don't change much, but maybe you add a little more characterization or something, Johnny, what were
So
you
I
gonna
got a
say?
question for the table, actually, so we can
Okay.
all
Yeah,
chime
go
in
for
on
it.
this
Cool.
here. It's like, what is the line between the story you're trying to tell and the changes you make based upon creative feedback, right? Because you have to think
Mhm.
about it. Are you writing for the short-term reader, or are you thinking of your work as a long-term legacy, something long-standing? So I guess, what's the line for everybody, when you're taking that constructive criticism?
Mm.
Good
Anybody
question.
wants to chime in,
Yeah.
feel free.
I hate to be like, who's it? I think Alan Moore said this, where it's like, where the reader doesn't know what they need. Like, like he said something along those lines, right? Like where,
Yeah.
and like, I feel like, if you have a story to tell, you could bend a little bit on certain things, aspects of it. But if you're dead set in telling a story that means something to you, or, you have in a certain way in your head, I think you're just going to do it, like whether the feedback is good or not. And then if you get obliterated after that, I mean, I guess, it's like, I guess that's how it's perceived, So,
I would go by instinct. I would kind of play it by ear. It's almost like, I'm a big wrestling fan, right? So I love hearing stories about, wrestlers who, that wasn't supposed to happen during the match. We called an audible because it just felt right. The crowd was asking for it. They were into it. And we decided, you know what? Screw the original ending. We're going to go this way instead. And it worked out better. So I think for me, it's instincts. It's more like, okay, well, if I do have the overall vision, right? If I have the story I want to tell. And if I succeed in delivering that first story that pretty much establishes the character, the world, all of it. So the sequel will have to be something where I'm going to have to listen to the fans and say, okay, and keep it within the line, keep it within the lane, and not steer off too far off, which is what can tend to happen a lot with especially with characters that readers end up liking, and then you change drastically. So I go by instinct and audible, play it by ear.
Yeah. Well, that also sometimes your characters take the reins too, and steer the book in a different direction than you were thinking too,
Julius, how do you explain the storyline between John Henry and Mae Young when they had a kid?
That was the classic example of this man saying, I'm going to do this and I don't care.
I don't even know what you're talking about, Harry, but it's funny.
This 80-year-old plus woman gave birth to a rubber arm. I don't know how that.
Wait, what? What is this?
Ridiculous.
It was an era where wrestling was really stupid.
Yeah, that was a moment for wrestling fans to look to kind of. It was very shameful. I was like, I can't believe this, man.
We packed it away with Doink the Clown and the Gobbledygook.
Right. Oh, it's from the Doink the Clown era. Say no more. I was already out by then.
There you go. I'm more classic wrestling myself, like back in the 80s, 90s.
Yeah, same
that's
here.
Awesome. How about you, Nandor? Did you have any take on that?
Yeah, well, I agree with you, Keith. Like I'm kind of the mindset that I try to put as much care and as much thought into my stories as I possibly can, and try to make it as exciting for me as I possibly can. And so I welcome feedback, and I'm looking for more so than criticism on the creativity. I'm kind of looking for criticism on the technical side of things, like how the book is presented, how the grammar is, how the punctuation is, and like really kind of the pacing of it. And but like on the with what actually happens in the story, I'm usually like 90% to 95% sure that I've cracked it, and I'm confident in my ability to share the story that I want, because, it's like I need to make sure that the story I'm telling is the one I want to tell, and that also I'm not just, kind of pandering to what the audience wants or what they're looking for, and I want to like stay true to my creative vision. But I still welcome it. And if it doesn't help me with that particular story, it's definitely going to help me with my next stories, and that's something that you as writers, we can always use, because there's always going to be a next story. And if there's something about the way you spent too long on this scene, or this didn't really pan out the way that a reader wanted or whatever, you can use that and you can go, okay, when I apply this to my next books, how can I make this more exciting or more accessible or more enjoyable for the reader for an overall like better reading experience? So that's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good.
That's
How about
cool,
you,
yeah.
Johnny? You had posed the question, but did you have an answer on that as well?
Well, I think everybody's point's kind of the general idea. You know what I mean? And I think everybody's opinion is a little bit different in the sense of how they approach it or how they view it. Me personally, I would say that like Nandor said, we welcome the creative feedback. You'd kind of have to, but it also depends on where it's coming from. Is it coming from a reader or is it coming from a creative peer? Creative peer sees things differently than the way a reader would see things. I always enjoy having a reader come to me at the table after having read a book going, I love this part of the book, or I love this part, or are you going to do this? Plastic City Comic Con, somebody told me I should do issue 3 of The Pond, which was only meant to be a 2-issue series. That opened up my brain going like, oh my God, like this guy wants more. And I was like, I thought I was done with that. You know what I mean?
Did it get you thinking about doing another?
It did.
Really?
It did. Only for the fact of I'm trying to find better ways to make a book that has a higher price tag.
Okay.
Right. So instead of selling $5 floppies, Pond's 2 issues. So it doesn't collect very well into anything bigger than like kind of just an oversized comic, So how can I expand upon that? How can I make it maybe a hardcover? You know what I mean? Something to, make it a little bit more enticing at the table.
Yeah, more deluxe.
Yeah, exactly. Something deluxe. And maybe along those lines, it comes with a short story or something to that effect, or maybe some prose, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that way you can sell like a thick book, right? Or like
a nice thick
book,
right? And that's when you're spending a lot of money to vend at a convention, at one of the bigger conventions, it's really hard to get to that number to cover your table in the least.
Definitely.
When you're selling $5 floppies, you need either gimmicks or higher tier priced items. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I agree. And I think with your story, Johnny, in particular, it's a horror. You could bring it back, no problem.
Maybe we'll see. And that's the other thing too. Creatively, in my perspective, is that like if inspiration doesn't strike, I don't feel compelled to write the story. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because time's a valuable thing. If you're going to invest the time in the story, it's got to be something that speaks from your heart.
Yeah.
Gets you excited, not something that you're forcing on paper for the sake of
I would say, table it in the, in your brain, everything filing cabinet, and then, see if you can find that inspiration.
One other thing I do is, if I get an idea, I like to sit on it for a little bit, because if I'm equally as excited when I finally sit down to put it to paper, then I know it's a good idea. If I have doubts, then I know I can maybe put it back away and it needs a little bit more time working on it or thinking on it before it starts to come out again, And I don't know if you guys feel the same way about that.
I mean, I can tell you, I do sit on a story for a long time before I put any kind of outline together. Like I sit and just think about it, like what's going to happen, where it's going to go, what kind of, beats you're going to cover in it, things like that. And then I'd say sometimes I can think about it for 2 or 3 months at least before I do anything, I don't know.
How about you, Julius? What's your creative process when it comes to that?
It's a little faster. So when I come up with an idea and I'm excited about it, I dedicate a day or two to write out the entire outline, and I write it all out, and then I edit it about 2 or 3 times, and I store it away, hoping one day I could produce it.
Oh, nice. And then you sit down with the first draft eventually, that kind of
thing. Yeah. So I don't know. It's kind of I have so many stories stored in my hard drive. Of if I could just pick them out and just dedicate, another month or 2, I could have the script ready for the first issue.
Nice.
So that's my process, and it's kind of sad because like, oh man, I wish I could. Oh, he could grab like 5 of these and I produce them all at once. It'd be kind of great.
Yeah, right.
I think that would be too much, though, right? I think the more time you spend with a story, the better it can get, right? The more you can think it through, the more you can put into it.
Yeah,
exactly. Nandor, for you, like, for example, what was your creative process on the beginning of the Fabled Offering?
Yeah, this is a book that has been a much longer process for me than usual, because My other books have been either, longer series or at least limited series, and this is just a one shot, but I had to do a lot of world building to like actually start to understand just how the world operates, and to make sure that everything feels organic for the world. And so
Okay.
I started writing it, or started brainstorming it last year, and I was writing out the story and outlining it and just writing down a bunch of notes. And then while I'm doing that, I'm of course trying to come up with character designs and like how I want the world to look, how I want it to feel. And so I had to create this visual document where I just had like, this is what the world looks like and feels like, and this is what each character looks like, and what they're wearing. And I've never done it to this extent, just because
Mm.
my previous books have been a little bit more grounded, except for Manchild with like the superhero costumes. But like my other books have been a lot more grounded in the real world, and so there wasn't a whole lot of heavy lifting on my part to like, figure out how how to make a character look cool, and
Yeah.
doing those types of things. So with this book in particular, I really had to think way more visually than I ever thought before, and it really challenged me in that way. And so like, with all of that said, and I was trying to create like new words, and like come up with like names for these kingdoms, and the language and all these types of things. And so it was a lot of this heavy lifting on the back end that, I don't know how much of it will end up being in this book, but it was there for me because I needed it to write it better and to write a better story for it. So, all in all, this has been from conception to finishing the script and then working with Marco Roblin on the art. It's been about, a whole year or so of working
wow.
on it. So it's been a long
A lot
time.
of development.
Yeah, like I can't even like I've never attempted like anything in the like fantasy genre. So like yeah,
Yeah.
that's a lot to put together, like you just gotta, because you're just not telling the story, you're building this
Right.
entire
You're
world.
you're pitching a world. You're not just
Yeah,
pitching a story.
exactly.
And you have to think about, well, what's the material of like the main character's sword? What does it do? What about the kingdom's colors? What kind of colors are they? What do they represent? What's their
Right.
function? All that stuff that, at first when I was working on it, I was just hitting one obstacle after another and being like, I have to know that, I have to know that, I have to know that before, because I want the reader to get into the book and not think about that, because you want them to be fully absorbed in it. You don't want them to second guess, like, why is this happening, or why does this look this
Right.
way? And that's something that I think George Lucas talked about at one point when he was working on A New Hope. The very first Star Wars movie was like, we're just gonna throw you in this story, and you're gonna naturally flow with it, because not everything is explained to you. There's not a whole lot of exposition that's just like poured out
Yeah,
to
right.
you,
Like when they're on
and you're
Tatooine, they don't go into the history
yeah,
of Tatooine, but I
right,
like that
right.
though. I like the stuff when they don't feed it to you all at once like that. Like
No, yeah, exactly,
I
exactly.
prefer like that George
It,
Lucas kind of approach to like New Hope, where it's like,
it's
Yeah.
it's the subtleties like lighting and film. You don't notice it, but it enhances it overall.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, like you don't wanna think about that. You don't wanna think like, how are they lighting this? Like it just captures you, and you're already in it, and before you know it, you're invested, and you're like, "Oh, wow." Like
Yeah,
I wanna know what's gonna happen.
totally.
Yeah.
Next time you
No,
watch
that's great.
Beetlejuice, look at the lighting in that film. It's phenomenal.
Okay. That's a
Really?
good, yeah.
Okay.
I almost watched that this weekend, so I should
Well, they
do
were
that.
doing a 24-hour marathon, which made me notice it because I
Yeah.
watched the movie in several different parts out
Yeah.
of order. So it made me
Okay.
look at different things that weren't in continuity of the movie. So I was like, oh, when they're talking about Beetlejuice, they had this like light come up from under, and it looked very ominous, like a ghost story was being told, and that informs the character so much. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, interesting.
And the same thing could be said for comics with coloring, shading, inking.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
Those fine-tuned details where you don't notice it, but it enhances it overall.
Yeah.
Lettering, the way the lettering's done.
Totally
Absolutely.
the
lettering. Yeah, that's a huge part.
Especially the lettering. Oh, sorry.
No, but this is a great discussion, like just about writing in general. Like, and then same with Julius, who you have like essentially like a revenge story, correct? With Vigilant Fury.
Yeah, it's more of an escape story.
Yeah.
It's
but like I perused the campaign earlier today, and I saw that you had a lot of the pages more complete since the last time I saw it. It's looking good, man. The book's coming together pretty nice. It looks nice.
Yeah, that was an interesting case there, because when Gambino and I first got together, we decided we're going to go stark black and white, like Frank Miller's Sin City. That was the style we were going to go for.
Yeah.
And then like about halfway through, he finished about 20 pages of the book. And halfway through, he's like, "Hey man," he emailed me. He's like, I think I'm gonna change the style." And I was like, what do you mean you're gonna change the style? Like, what does that mean? He's like, I'm just not feeling it. I'm not feeling this. It's not working out for me. And I'm like, dude, we have like 20 pages done. Like, what are you talking about? And so then he's like, well, I'm thinking about doing ink wash. And I was like, okay. And I was like, all right, well, ink wash, all right. So he sent me a sample, and I was like, okay, yeah, let's go with this. And I, the funny thing, the joke I always like to share with everyone is I asked him, well, what are we going to do about our backers? Our backers are expecting the stark black and white comic book. What do we say? He's like, dude, what are they going to complain that we made the book look better? Like, what's the problem? I was like, okay, good point. Fair point.
And you know what? You absolutely are going to get a complaint that it's not stark.
Yeah, I had a few backers.
I hate ink wash.
I had a few backers reach out to me on my DM, and they asked me what was the status and everything, because we're going to be late, and they didn't get the Indiegogo app update that we provided. So I sent them samples. I was like, hey, here we decided to change the style. Here's what the book's gonna look like now. We apologize for the delay. I know we promised you this date, but it's gonna be extended for another 6-7 months. And it was great. It was the kind of response you want as a creator, which is, oh, this looks fantastic. All right, thank you, man. I appreciate the update. I'll be looking forward to this.
Yes.
I was like,
that's great.
I was like, oh my god, thank God.
It'd be cool if something in the story happened that had made it be ink wash from that point on. Like something
what was that?
happened. It'd be cool if something within the story, happened that would cause the rest of the comic to be ink wash.
We actually flirted with that idea for a while, but then
that would be cool. Actually,
and we're still flirting with it, because obviously there's elements in the story that, like, for instance, the first few pages is the flashback sequence. So I was like, maybe we can still keep those pages intact. And then
it might offset it a little bit, like actually help sell the idea of a flashback or something,
Right.
Also, the ink wash could be used as like her state of mind, because I imagine like there's a lot to do with that, right? Like, because she's like trying to escape and basically fight for her life, right? So like,
she not only escape but also plan. She has to plan out her escape and have to in a moment's notice but know exactly where she's at, so that way she's not going in blind. So she has to work real fast to get that.
So when do you guys project that it'll be done now at this point?
We're pushing for January.
Okay, that's not
January. Yeah, because he still has to redo the first 20 pages, and he hired someone to help him redo those pages as ink wash. So once we're close. We're about, I would say, 8 pages left before the book is complete.
So you're right there.
Nice.
Yeah, we're right there at that finish line. Right there.
That's cool.
Right there, like a few feet away from the line. And
no, that's great, man.
Close.
It's been fantastic. His pages, Gambino has grown. Like, this is his first book, by the way. He's never drawn a full book before.
Tell you,
it looks good, man. For a first time, that looks real good, bro.
It was trial by fire. It really was. because typically new artists, they always do the short stories first to get their feet wet. And I told them, dude, I just grabbed you and like threw you into the pool and told you swim.
He's really good though, and he's such a nice dude, man. Like I met him at my show, not this past one, but the
that's right. Yeah, that's right.
He came down, he was
there
hanging out with Spencer and all those guys.
Yeah,
well, he also brought the ash can exclusive of Vigilant Fury.
He did.
Yeah, he gave that to me, and
so anybody who has that,
copy of his sketchbook too. And the dude's talented. He's a good find.
He is.
An artist,
he definitely has grown, and it was great to see him grow. Because the script I gave him was a very loose script. Because I asked him, "Hey, do you want a detailed script where I tell you what to draw, what angle, all that stuff, or do you want kind of like that Marvel way script where I just give you like a generic thing that's happening and you figure out the angles and all that?" And he was, "Oh, give me that one. I'll do that one." I was like, "All right."
You guys find a lot of artists so my artist loves to have thumbnails to work from. Do you guys find a lot of your artists prefer to work that way? Or...
Dude, it's mandatory, I think. I don't know about Nandor, but I prefer the thumbnails because a lot of the times when you write a script and you hand it over to the artist, the translation kind of gets lost a little bit there, because an artist has his own interpretation, his or her own interpretation of what they read. So the thumbnail process for me anyway is basically for editing purposes. It's for beat, it's for pace. It's like, okay, maybe we can extend this to 2 pages, or maybe we can compress these 2 pages into 1 page and it can still work, and so on and so forth. So I think it's mandatory for the collaboration process.
Do you find a lot of artists want thumbnails, or they work direct from your script?
Yeah, I when I first started my first few books, Seasons volumes 1 and 2, and even Lifeline a little bit, but I was a lot more heavily influenced to do thumbnails for artists and like just to get that visual across that I had in my mind. But I realized that as I kept writing and got what I think better at writing, but better at knowing how to describe things to artists and not having to give them that unless it's like a very complex scene or if I'm like, okay, it has to be this way, just so that I'm trying to think of it in the best visual manner possible. Here's my thumbnails so that you can get a better idea. And like, so it's something I don't do as much now as I used to, but I think I still do it if like I said, if there's something I'm really trying to get across, or there's like a parallel between panels, or there's something that is like a foreshadowing, it's like I need it to visually look like, this is mimicking it. And so when we get to it later, that the reader will like either subconsciously or consciously see that and put 2 and 2 together and feel that. So, but I always, want thumbnails from my artist all the time. It's like that I need that. Like, we can't move forward with it if I don't. And so that's something that is like Julius said, very mandatory. But like even for the wraparound cover for the Fabled Offering, I think I actually have. So when we see it on the campaign, like I drew this very rough thumbnail of
nice
of like so like this is like the front and back cover, and we have the main character,
the spine is on
in the middle there, and then we have the other characters around. And so like I could write that out and I could explain that, but I was like, I just need to draw it
what you're thinking.
Right.
I'm just
the
going to ask
rule,
you
right?
too.
Show, don't tell.
That's right.
Harry, what was your question?
No, I was going to ask both of them. What a writer, because you guys would know best what the environment or image that you're trying to create looks like. And because I'm an artist myself, so I always see things in pictures in my head. I always see, before I draw anything, I already see it complete in my head. Sometimes. and I just gotta like do what I just pictured. But so for a writer's point of view, I wonder what you guys. I'm wondering what you guys think, or what you guys envision. I don't know how a writer's brain works.
You have the gift, Harry.
Whatever it is.
We're so jealous. We're so jealous over here.
We had, I wish I could draw. I wish I could just draw myself.
Well, because
writers have the same thing. We could picture it in our heads very easily. It's just getting it into paper and describing it is the challenge.
We're all in the same boat. I mean, we're all like creatives, and I think it's all the same thing. It doesn't matter if it's art or writing or cooking or paint or whatever it is, like music. It's all creativity, but it's like I'm just wondering what each person envisions. You know what I mean? I'm wondering how they're because I always picture things first, and then I'm like, oh my god, it's a good idea. And
I see the most I see is in angles, like where the camera is positioned, and the flow of the page, and how many panels, and like what I'm the beginning, middle, and end of a page, and thinking about it that way. And also it's all about mood for me. It's not necessarily about detail and like what we're seeing in the background, but like what the focus of everything is. And then the artist, what I find so like amazing and surprising when I get pages back is like all of those blank spots that I wasn't able to fill in my head, in terms of what kind of carpet it is, or what kind of cup it is, or all of those like very detailed things that I wouldn't normally think of, but that need to be there. And the artist is there because like they're able to be in that moment and see the necessity for those types of things. Where for me, it's more like this is the heart of it. This is the heart of the panel, or the soul of the panel of the page, and then the artist like dresses it up and makes it look, way
they
better
kind of
than,
fill in.
Yeah,
kind of what you start in a lot of ways. I think I think that might be the best way to say it.
A good creative team would fill in the gaps in which there are oversight. So when you are working, when you're working well with an artist.
And the other thing is too, it's like all these like little rules you got to kind of remember that kind of, I don't know if they hinder you or like, like for example, like, you got to kind of like when you got to work with page turns, you got to work with, you want to start a scene at the beginning of the top of a page, not in the middle of a page, things like that. Like, and it's so hard to like, do your story and then remember all that stuff on top of it. Like, but it kind of flows in eventually, I think, as you're writing.
Yeah. It kind of becomes second nature as the more you do it.
I think so. Yeah.
Because
the way I write, I never recommend it to anybody because the way I do it is like, it's so like backwards. But when I write my scripts for my comics, like I write it almost like a screenplay, and I don't worry about like how a page looks or how many panels and things like that. I just write it out so I can get all the dialogue out in like one. Because I hate when you're trying to have a characters talk to each other, and you're gonna stop in between the dialogue and be going, panel 3.
Yeah,
this is happening. It's like I just want to have like the flow of the conversation.
No, I do that. I do that too because what I do is I'll write like I usually write in chunks of pages. So like if there's a particular scene, I'm like, okay, this scene, even if it's a dialogue heavy scene, I'm like, this is going to be 2 or 3 pages. And so I'll write the dialogue out most of the time. Yeah. And then I'll go in and find the best points to start breaking it up, and like, okay, the flow of this conversation after this character says this sentence or reacts to this reveal or whatever it is, it's like, that's when we need to cut and we need to go to a different panel, or a different portion of it. But, that's kind of my guide because you're, it's interesting because it's like working that way, working backwards. helps you move forward because it would be like robotic and kind of forcing the conversation in a way if you're doing it thinking about the panel first, because then what the character is reacting to or what they're responding to, you would have to force them into that position, and that wouldn't feel natural on the page.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Keith,
what
I write the way you do.
Oh, you do? Okay.
But the script I'm working on right now, which is due tomorrow, actually. I applied
Just
one
what Johnny's
new
doing after the show tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotta go, guys. Yeah.
And maybe a little bit tomorrow too. But the one thing I applied to the script I'm working on right now is that I tried not to make any scene longer than 3 pages. Unless it absolutely justified it. And so this is paced out very differently, where like if I'm a reader, I don't want to spend 4 pages in the same sequence. You know, I want to see different things. I want it to move.
You just don't want the talking heads, right? Like
exactly. And unless it was an action sequence that became a little bit more elaborate, I would only limit myself to up to 6. So like if it was one scene, like this scene happens here. So I played it kind of like a movie, but I made sure that every scene was only 3 pages, and then it always moved on to something new or keep it interesting.
That's pretty good. I mean, that helps you keep the story going too. And like, I feel like that's one area where I'm really weak at, like where characters just talking for a couple pages. Like, I feel like I can kind of get a little better with that. Like give the artist more dynamic angles or something, like, to try to, not that like, cause like the dialogue, if it's good and it's like, and it's engaging, like people will fly through it and they won't even notice it. But if the dialogue is sort of like, necessary, like description that you got to give, and it's kind of a little dull, I think like visually it'll help pull them out of the book if the visuals don't look good either, so I don't know.
I was going to say, like, a perfect example of this was, I know, Keith, you mentioned Gods at the top of the show.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Did you read that, by the way?
Yes.
Did you like it
too? I thought it was.
I was raving about it. I was like,
I thought it was amazing.
Marvel in years.
Yeah. But there's a scene in there. There is.
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, the conversation between, I think Wynn is his name, and then his wife. And they're talking about getting a divorce, and it was a long scene of just these 2 characters talking. And I remember like flipping the page and going, what is happening? Like, because it was just one after the other. But I started reading the conversation, and the conversation was so engaging and so funny and interesting and entertaining to me that by the time I was done with the conversation, it flew by like, in a breeze. And it was because it was so engaging and so written so well.
I agree.
Visually, it wasn't.
It was dull. Visually, it was
like
dull.
If I were gonna pick that up at a comic book store and there was like 4 or 5 pages of these 2 characters just talking, that wouldn't have been the money shot. That wouldn't have been the pitch. But honestly, when I think about that book, that's one of the most satisfying conversations I've read in comics in a long time. I thought it was
absolutely, man.
Very good.
Absolutely. And especially in
Dead was a lot
book.
like that.
Yeah, you're right. That did have a lot of conversations.
Walking Dead would go pages. And I'd be like, where's the zombies? It's called Walking Dead. You know what I mean? And I'm flipping through, and it's like I feel like I'm reading a drama.
The Vertigo book from like the 90s was all just talking heads, like Sandman, like things like that.
Well, he's very conversationalist, like you said, Nandor, like in Invincible as well. It's like a lot of it is less about the action and more about these 2 characters conversing about what they are and in the environment that they're in. You know what I mean?
Yep, I agree. No, it's great stuff, guys. Like I feel
it's like a writing group, you guys.
This is awesome.
No, it is awesome. I almost wish I was a writer right now so I can learn from this.
I love process talks,
right.
Because I sometimes, as writers, we're alone a lot of the times with our own ideas and our own typewriters and stuff, and like I mean, how often do you really talk to other writers? I don't really, I don't really,
it's
about process stuff,
It's
Right.
our sandbox. We all play in it different ways, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's all still doing the same thing, playing with the sand,
Yeah, exactly.
As
But
long as
I
you know
know
it's sand, not a litter box.
Well, we
Peace,
should take a
Cheryl.
look at the campaigns.
Oh,
I
right,
know. I was just about to say that, Johnny.
And I was
'cause
going to
could
say,
sit here and talk
while we're at
comics
it, you guys didn't even. So, any of the watchers at this point probably don't know what the books are about. So, why don't we get some elevator pitches just so that somebody who's
absolutely.
watching can kind of get an idea of what the projects are about. So, I don't know if Nandor, if you want to go first and kind of give an elevator
Like I
pitch
got them
on,
both here. So let me
on the
let's
Fabled
start with
Offering.
Nandor's.
It's a good way to show readers that we're serious about our craft and that we are not taking this lightly. We actually are very serious about becoming good writers. We want to provide you guys good quality content, and that takes work, that takes effort. And I think that showcasing the roundtable discussion we've had in the past hour about writing and approaches, I hope that your viewers watching now or in the replay will see that all of us here are very serious storytellers. We want to
absolutely.
Bill Burr, I think it was Bill Burr, who once said that when he started doing comedy, he said, my goal was to be on that wall in the Comedy Store. That was my goal. My goal was to have my face on that wall. That I didn't care how I was going to get there. I wanted to be there. And I knew the only way to get there was that I had to be good. I had to be one of the best. And so I'm going to make that sentiment now. I want to be up there with Neil Gaiman, now more, and Brian Azzarello, and Garth Ennis, and so on and so forth. Like, I want to get there too. Like, I'm not gonna make any bones about it.
I'm right there with you, Julius. The people that inspire me, it's like I wanna hang out with them. I want to have a conversation with them. I want to be able to go to an after party and talk about process and how they wrote that comic and all that kind of stuff. Like that's
and I don't know about you, Nandor, and Julia, or even Johnny, and when you read so Nandor, like Gods, when you read that comic after you put it down, like my first instinct is I want to run downstairs and start writing. I get so inspired by these guys that it seems no effort for Hickman to write something like that.
Dude,
it's just
I discovered Hickman before Hickman became Hickman.
Okay.
I picked up Red Mask from Mars.
Oh my gosh!
And I remember when I like you, Keith, after I read it, I was like, oh my God, who is this guy? This guy's amazing. This guy has it. He has the same quality.
He's on another planet, dude.
Yeah.
He's on another planet. The way he writes, I can't even I comprehend some of it sometimes. I'm like, oh my, did you guys read Decorum?
I didn't finish it, but I own it all. I haven't finished it.
I started reading the beginning and I'm like, I don't even know what the I know it's gonna make sense somewhere, but I'm just like, oh my God, he's that so out there, so
right.
I really like his stuff. The stuff I've read, I really think is great. So.
Well, pick up Ultimate Invasion.
That's good. I just read that. And
really
I saw in the new previews, which I'm really excited about, he's going to be doing Ultimate Spider-Man.
But
he's
be interesting.
Doing Spider-Man with a family, kind of like that new Superman show where it's him and Lois and the two kids.
Yeah,
he's doing that with Spider-Man, which I think would be kind of interesting, So we'll see.
Seeing Peter and MJ together, married, having a family, that's really surprising, and that's going to be really
superhero
cool.
Stuff. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And with Hickman, the villain's going to be this scientific monstrosity from third dimension or something. His stuff is so crazy, but I love it, so it's great. But anyways, I know we got sidetracked, but I definitely want to showcase your campaigns here. So let me bring that back up.
Let's get that elevator pitch, Nandor, on Fabled Offering.
Let's hear the elevator pitch for Fabled Offering.
All right. So The Fabled Offering is a mature sci-fi fantasy one-shot that follows Grand Princess Aurelia on a quest to save herself from her past traumas. She is trying to uh, decide on this impossible choice that she faces. And to do this, she has to meet the ancient Sizen, who is this ancient deity atop Gafira Mountain, which is this mount she has to climb, all the while she is carrying her unborn child. So it is a love letter to science fiction and fantasy stories that I love growing up, and it is a character study about sacrifice and the power of choice and um, what you do in the face of impossible odds.
Now, do we find out early on what the offering is in the story?
Yes.
Okay.
These covers are great, Nandor.
Yeah,
I was
going to ask you what the
Actually,
artwork.
so the one that we're about to see after this one is like the worldwide premiere of it.
Oh, really?
Oh,
nice.
wow.
Yeah. So
That's really cool.
That is really cool.
So anyone who's watching this and seeing this, so I had the layout of the cover done. Marco Rudi's cover. He went to New York Comic Con and he got sick from COVID, and so he wasn't able to finish the cover in time for the campaign. And just today, he sent me the finished cover, so I put that.
Oh,
on
you added it today.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. So
That's awesome, man.
A lot of these characters are look like actual people. Like were models used to draw these characters from, or were they? How
I'm not 100% sure. Like if the artists use references, I'm sure Marco does to some extent for the interior pages.
Yeah.
But like I know Marco Rudy who did that variant cover there. He works in a very abstract style, and his stuff is all traditionally painted, and he's like just very, very complex and like artistic in his process. But Marco Roblin, the interior artist for this book, what's so crazy about his stuff is that it looks traditional, but it's all digital. Like the texture,
wow.
Interesting.
how detailed it is. Like you would think that you could touch the page, or you could feel the original art. And I remember I had to ask him, wait a second, I thought you were a digital artist. And he's like, I am one. And it's like, no way.
That's what struck me the most when I saw your campaign for the first time was the artwork. I was really mesmerized and really impressed too with the artistic approach he chose. Was this something that he chose to do? Or was this something that you specifically asked him, hey, can you do it like this kind of style? Because I'm getting a lot of Bill oh gosh, I can never pronounce his last name. Yeah, I'm getting his vibes.
Yeah.
I'm also getting a little bit of
Mike Diodato, a little bit.
Yeah, him. And there's another one. There's a third one. I just can't remember his name off the top of my head.
The colors look like they kind of remind me of a little bit of like an Ed Brubaker book or something. Like
a little bit.
Yeah.
Sean Phillips.
Yeah, Sean Phillips. Yeah, definitely. Benjamin Soto's with us tonight. Says beautiful artwork. Hey Ben, thanks for joining us. We got a lot of people commenting here. Tony James loved the writing discussion. Jealous I'm not there to weigh in. And the Cryptonals in the chat tonight. Mixcelsior.
Hey, what's up,
Hey guys. Long time no see. Glad to see you here, man.
Shout out.
Style is amazing.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
A little Alex Maleev. Yeah,
there you go. Another one.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. That's who it looks
I
like.
can see
it's
that.
bugging me too. There's one more artist, and I just can't freaking remember his name.
It's beautiful though.
But it really is gorgeous. Yeah. So was this his approach, or was this you?
Yeah. So this was his approach. I wanted to. We eventually what happened was, I had an idea of course of what I wanted it to look like, but when I partnered with Marco on this book, I knew that we could do that. We could keep it simple like that and make everything kind of one color palette and with a lot of dark and kind of moody feel to it. But when I'd seen some of his work previously, I was like, no, like we need to go in the other direction where it needs to be ethereal and like alien. Like you need to look at it and you need to feel like you're not on planet Earth whatsoever. And like, the world does not function, this world we're discovering does not function in the way or look in the way that we would see regular colors or anything like that. And so
Gotcha.
it was like something that I knew would only make the book better, because he was really inspired by like the Weapon X book, Barry Windsor Smith, and like a lot of his stuff.
Okay.
And so
I see a little bit.
yeah. So he wanted to do something like that, and it just opened up the world in the book to such a degree that it was like we could make the colors fit the mood of each scene and everywhere that we are in the book, that it just made it that much more like timeless. And like I wanted this timelessness quality to it as well, where you look at it and you're like, wait a second, did this come out in the 70s or the 80s or whatever?
Yeah.
But like
also, I like that you can't kind of tell whether it's a fantasy or a science fiction book.
Yeah.
Is that were you going for that a little bit too? And Benjamin's looks kind of like Butch Geist as well. Yeah, I agree.
I was going to say that
I've
70s French comic book vibe.
Yeah, like a Mobius.
Very European.
Yeah.
A lot of it's gotten a lot of like heavy metal comparisons, which is awesome,
totally can see that. Yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah,
I remember now. David Mack.
What was it?
Oh,
David Mack.
Yeah,
David Mack. I was like, why can I remember his freaking name? David Mack
is
the other artist.
Lately, I haven't seen anything from him in a while.
I know he was such a great artist, but this kind of when I first saw these pages, I was like, wait, is this David Mack?
Yeah, it looks like him, isn't it?
Great job with the art.
Like
Marco is his name?
too.
Marco?
Yeah, Marco Roblin.
Yeah, what a skilled artist, man. He really did bring
he nailed this one,
a uniqueness to this for sure.
Is this somebody that you were following, Nandor? Like, have you seen him
so I actually saw his work. It was last year for this book called Numinous Nomads, and it was a book that I backed on Kickstarter. And I remember seeing like some art pieces on Twitter, and I was like, who is this guy? Like, what has he done? And I was so impressed with him, and I wrote his name down. I was like, okay, I will work with this guy at some point. I don't know on what, or like what, whatever story, but like if I find a story and I feel like he'll be the right choice for it, then I'll tap him on the shoulder and see if he's available. And this was it. Like, this was the book that I was like, I gotta see if he's available for this, because I feel like he could really do something special. And then when I pitched it to him and I sent him my like 20-30 page visual document and the script and everything, and I was like, I know this is a lot, but like I just want you to take it in, take your time with it, see if you want to do this. And I've never had someone be as excited about a project, like any artist that I've worked with, than Marco. Like he like, we'll message each other every day, and he'll message me and show me progress and talk about the story, and we've like awesome. He feels like a brother, because he's a Chilean artist too, and like we see eye to eye on so many things, especially like our favorite films and our favorite comics and just all that stuff. And so we're in sync, and it feels awesome. Really cool. So
that shows in the end product too. When there's that kind of that partnership where you guys see eye to eye, like you said, you'll definitely see that in the final product. And I mean, it looks like it's already showing.
Yeah, absolutely. And these covers are really cool, man.
Thank you.
I love that you did a lot of them. What is it, like 5 or 6? Is it 5 or 6 different covers?
Yeah, we got 6 covers altogether.
Wow, that's awesome.
Now, how far along is she in her pregnancy? Is she like towards?
Yeah, she's months into it. So she's like in her. I think by the time she gets to the mountain, we're pretty much into like the 6th month or so or more. So it's getting there.
Pretty cranky.
Look at this. Look who's in the chat. Marco.
Hey, there's
Robler.
Marco.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
Hey, Marco.
Thanks
Great
very
work,
much for the
man.
kind words. Simply everything is
work.
possible thanks to teamwork. You rock, Nandor. Marco, great work. And
Yeah,
just
great
we're
work.
just all admiring your artwork here.
Yeah,
so
well
thanks,
done.
thanks for coming on the show and letting us know you're here.
Yeah.
And Kryptonolds, Ray said, I see a lot of Mike Vosberg in the art. Yeah, I see that too. And then Ben Soto is complimenting Marco as well. Yeah, definitely. Marco, thanks for stopping in. This book looks great. Hopefully we can get you some more backers for it, you know. And so Nandor, tell us a little bit about the what you guys are offering for rewards and things like that.
What we're offering for the Fabled Offering.
Yeah. What is the Fabled Offering?
What is our offerings? So like oh, that's sweet.
That's awesome, man. Thank you for coming on and letting us know. And we love the artwork, Marco. So keep up the good work.
Yeah. So like you, Keith, like when I go to a campaign, it's all about the book, and I kind of make all of the rewards based around it, and then all of the like really kind of out there fun stuff I leave for like stretch goals and stuff. So like with our rewards, it's mostly of course the PDF and then the main cover, which is a wraparound cover, and it's going to be a 40-page book. So that you're getting like a double-sized title here, and we have all the variant covers to choose from, and so those will be in limited supply. And also with the collector's edition of the main cover and then the variant cover, you get this art print by Dustin Tyree, who's a buddy of mine, and you get that with the PDF, and then you get a signed book as well. So
cool.
That's the collector's edition. And then I have a retailer bundle for retailers, and I've had a few comic shops reach out and purchase that, so that's really cool. And so if you're a comic shop owner,
sketch from Marco too, I see here. That's cool.
So if you want a sketch from Marco, you get the book, you get the art print, you get the PDF, and you get your name in the acknowledgments of the book and all that cool stuff. So
that's not bad price for a sketch and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a bargain right there.
And then we have all the covers. So if you can't pick one and you want to choose all of the covers,
I gotta admit they're all great. Like I'd have a hard time choosing myself here. I think I would either go for this one or this one.
Yeah,
is my favorites.
Right.
I do like the wrapper. I mean, they're all good. Like they're all good. So
it's hard. It's hard to choose. Like if anyone asks me like what my favorite, it's like pick a day. Like Monday. This one's my favorite.
Exactly. Yeah, that's great.
And then we have all the covers, and then we have my Foxhole Comics bundle where you can get all of my books. So you can get Seasons Volumes 1 and 2, Lifeline, Man-Child Issues 1 and 2, and the Fabled Offering.
Nice.
I don't have a physical copy of Seasons anymore because I sold out. I've sold out on all of them. Wow. So I need to do a second printing, but you will get the PDF of Volume 1, and then you'll get the hardcover Volume 2.
Very cool.
But so that's like
drawn into the comic. That's cool.
Yeah, you can be drawn into the story. And so like I was thinking like, if you want to look like a Jedi or look like an alien, or you want like an extra arm or whatever, like we could like do fun little stuff like that, and get you in there. And I've had a few backers pledge that tier, so that's pretty cool. We'll have
great,
couple
man.
people in there.
You get some add-ons here.
Yeah, so you can get any of my books as add-ons, and then you can get the art prints as add-ons as well.
Stretch goals, awesome, man. I like the
the
sticker. That's great.
Yeah.
And you're making like a magic card kind of. That's really fun.
Yeah. We want to do, if we hit 5,000, we get the sticker. If we hit 6,000, we get the Princess Aurelia trading card. And so I really hope we can get that. And then I would love to, if we continue this series and we do more trading cards, we can kind of have a little trading card collection for each of the characters and the weapons and the equipment in the world and all that cool
Right,
stuff.
right. Just keep building it
Yeah.
up. Yeah, that's cool. I like that. I like that a lot. And you got more stretch goals coming if we can get it. Oh, that's just a great.
Yeah.
Oh, Indie Comics bundle. Look at this.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
So
Great,
when we
man.
hit 150 backers, every backer is going to get these 5 books for free in a
Oh,
PDF
really
bundle.
cool, man.
And with every 25 backers that we get after the initial 150, we'll add a book to it. So I have like a backlog of PDFs that other creators have shared with me that they've told me, hey, if you want to put this in your bundle, you can do that, and so like all of these are with permission from other creators, and they all want to see their books like included in this bundle. So
It's awesome.
yeah, hopefully
The only one I know here is Timothy Fling.
Oh yeah.
Waterworld.
Yeah.
He was next to you he was on the show before, right?
Yeah, he was on the show when we were doing the Cthulhu anthology.
Wasn't he next to you in San Diego?
He was next to me at Little Giant.
That's what it was.
Yeah, he's a good dude. And Water Wars is actually a really good book too. Good
Awesome.
post-apocalyptic stuff,
Yeah.
And this is just like the breakdown and then who
we are and all that stuff.
That's awesome, man. It looks like a lot of good stuff here. So if you had to pick a perk to recommend to people, what do you think is the best one that people should check out?
I think for your money, I think that the collector's edition is the best perk of like the main cover, because you get a signed book.
This one right here.
Yeah, you get a signed book, you get the PDF, you get the art print, and you get the full story with the wraparound cover. And I feel like for $20, that's a really good deal there. So
it is a good deal, and you get the print with it, and you get like probably like and it's a Kickstarter exclusive art print, which is cool.
Right.
I also think that the sketch is a really good deal too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like if you're feeling like you really want to help us out and you really want to, get something that is a bang for your buck, I think the sketch is like, in terms of getting the most for your money, definitely I'd say the sketch. But yeah, it's so, and then even like the bundle, I'm proud of that, because it's like, if you want to get almost 400 pages of comics, from me, it's like you can get this for $125. And
yeah, that's not bad at all, dude.
Yeah, it's a great deal right there.
Yeah, some good stuff, man. Drawn into the story. That's usually a popular one on my campaigns as well. So like,
yeah.
So I think that one's a good one to always have. Or I would recommend that to any creator to have this tier in your
yeah, it's always been pretty popular with my campaigns too. And I think it lends value to doing a crowdfunding campaign. Like if it's just a storefront, you might as well just have a storefront. But it's like being a part of a crowdfunding campaign and having those like really exclusive deals and really special deals that you can have for backers just makes it that much more like, enticing and like motivating for people to want to be a part of it. Because like where else can they be in a comic? Like this is like one of the only ways you could actually do that.
Yeah, no, yeah. And it's a thrill to see yourself drawn into a book.
Right.
It really is. So yeah, so people love that. So yeah, definitely. I recommend that any creator out there, if you do a campaign, figure out what the price works for you. I think 150 is usually pretty fair.
Yeah.
Or it could be like 100 or even $50, but like,
yeah,
figure out what works for you and then
with
do
that,
it,
with that reward, it's every reward is cumulative. So like it builds upon the next. So like if you get drawn into the story, you get the sketch, you get your name in the book, you get the signed book with the art print, you get all of that stuff included into it. So the higher the tier, the more you get.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, dude, I think this campaign looks great. So let me grab the grab the link here, share it in the chat for everybody to check out. If you're watching this tomorrow, the link to both these campaigns is in the description of the video. So check that out. Help our indie brothers,
Yep,
And,
absolutely.
yeah, so check out Fabled Offering. Is the video long, Nandor, or is it?
No, it's what is it? It's like a minute or minute and a half, something like that.
Oh, okay. Should we
Roll
play
the
it?
footage.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, cool. Hang on.
The Fabled Offering is a 38-page sci-fi fantasy one-shot epic about a lone princess on a harrowing quest to save herself and her kingdom from her own past trauma. Attempting to reach the peak of Gephyra Mountain while carrying her unborn child, Grand Princess Aurelia of Telindius will stop at nothing to meet the ancient Sizen aboard their starship, the Aegis. Will Sizen accept her offering? Hi, I'm award-winning comic book writer Nandor Fox Schaefer, and The Fabled Offering is a project I've had in the works for over a year. Born from my lifelong passion for the science fiction and fantasy genres and properties such as Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Isaac Asimov's Foundation novels, Dune, the Seven to Eternity comic book series, and RPG games like Elder Scrolls and Dungeons & Dragons, The Fabled Offering is everything I adore about sci-fi and fantasy poured into one story. Written by me with art by Marco Roblin and lettering by DC Hopkins, we hope to bring you a mature tale about trauma, sacrifice, and the power of choice in the face of fate and destiny. We have astonishing variant covers to choose from, art prints, Kickstarter exclusive rewards, and very exciting stretch goals waiting to be unlocked, including stickers and trading cards. This is my 6th Kickstarter campaign, and you can count on us. This campaign will be fulfilled. Please pre-order your copy today so we can get this dream book of ours into your hands. The Fabled Offering now beckons you.
Yeah.
That's awesome,
dude.
man.
And you're at 70%.
Great package.
That's great.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
we just hit
you're
70%
getting there, man.
today. So
Yeah, that's great,
yeah.
dude. Awesome. Well, I'm glad to see. Like, I think this book looks great. So
Thank you.
definitely everyone
Thank you
check
so
it out.
much.
And then finally, Vigilant Fury second chance campaign.
Heck
Julius, let's hear the elevator
pitch, man.
pitch.
Yeah, it's about a young woman who goes on vacation in Florida, and she is drugged and kidnapped by human traffickers, and she finds herself inside a container on a cargo ship headed straight to the Atlantic. But her captors soon realize that she's actually a government agent on vacation that they happen to kidnap, and chaos ensues.
Nice.
Kind of like the Die Hard John McClane of it all.
That's exactly what the inspiration was.
Was it really?
Die Hard.
That's great. Yeah, that's great, man.
Because it's
Yeah,
very much Die Hard. It's like, he's going out to LA, right?
He's going to LA to, talk to his wife who wants to divorce him to, rekindle their marriage. And then, a bunch of European terrorists just have to ruin the whole thing.
Yada yada yada, and then
Yada, yada.
Yeah.
Yada, yada, yada. Nakatomi Plaza.
Yeah. But like the last time we saw this campaign, I think these were just barely like sketches, like these pages, right?
Yeah, they were just like I said, a stark black and white. It was a different style altogether. And it took, like I said earlier, it took Gambino a while to find his footing, and when he finally did, it was off the races. And this is the style he eventually ended up adopting in terms of how he wanted to tell the story with his with the art style. And I wanted to do black and white simply because of the content, and also since it takes place on a cargo ship, which is very metallic. So I figured, you know what, let's just keep it black and white. And also it's a plus too, because of the printing cost will be a little lower, and that way we could price point our book a little lower than normal.
Yeah.
And it was originally supposed to be a 40-page one shot. And it ballooned to an 80-page one shot.
Oh, did it really? Wow. Okay.
That's awesome.
Earlier we were talking about pacing, and as I was I had developed the story. It took me about I think maybe 2 months to develop the story.
Okay.
And it went to different iterations. It was originally supposed to be a group of public domain pulp heroes escaping underground laboratory, but then I scrapped that because I liked the characters I wrote and I didn't want to kill them off. So I saved it, put it in my back pocket. And then the second iteration was the same idea, someone escaping their captivity, but it was a MMA fighter from LA who gets kidnapped by an elite group from Los Angeles. But then my wife one day just said, "Hey, what if you make this into a woman instead?" And I was like, "Why?" She's like, "Cause the wolf versus wolf story is kind of done already, and it's a lot out there. Wouldn't it be interesting if it was a woman and she had to outsmart her captors?" And the wheels, the wheels started turning. I was like, "Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah."
As a writer, you're like, "Yeah, that is way more interesting." Yeah.
Like, it was a lot more of a challenge as well. Like, I'm all for a challenge. And so I went back to the drawing board and developed this story. And once I developed it, that's when I sent out the message that I was looking for an artist, and Gambino was one of the many artists who put the name in the hat. And based on his samples alone, I saw the potential that I needed for this story. I needed for this story, and a lot of it was facial expressions and background work, detail work, because I needed a lot of detail work for the backgrounds, because in a lot of ways the ship is a character.
I got that vibe, man. Yeah,
is the role of the character, is a character in itself in the story. And I gave Gambino a lot of research material, newspaper clippings and articles of these horrible situations that happen when it comes to human trafficking. And also I actually had to go to the library and find anything I could about cargo ships and how they look on the inside, because I never knew what they look like. I only know what they look like on the outside, which is stacks of cargos, but never knew what it's like on the inside.
With the bottom, exactly.
And so it turns out that it's not as complex as people think it may be, but I took it as this could be a great modern day take of the story of Theseus, the labyrinth, of the Minotaur. And I was like, and I told him the ship is going to be the maze, and she's going to be Theseus, and the bad guys are going to be the Minotaurs. And after that, he was like, "Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
And
I just say the ink wash really shows in stuff like this where
he
used it to kind of create the clouds in the sky here. You
absolutely
see it. I think that's where it really shines,
It does. And at first when he told me he wanted to change the style, I wasn't really enthusiastic about it.
Yeah.
Because I was kind of set on the black and white, the Frank Miller Sin City look. But then when he showed me the samples, I was like, oh, actually that is a little better, actually. It gives it a lot more.
The artist knows, Sometimes the artist knows,
It gives it a little bit of that European flavor as well.
Yeah.
Which is what I like.
Yeah.
And it does give it a nice depth to it.
Yeah.
And it's action packed. It's really I'm a big action guy. I grew up watching 80s films, as you know. The same thing with Ghetto Dragon. I grew up watching martial arts films, but also I'm a huge fan of 80s action cinema.
Even the Canon group.
The Canon.
There's some gems in there. There's some gems in the Canon catalog.
Yes, there are. Yes, there are. And so I wanted to really. I just had this woodpecker, in my brain, just like this idea of someone escaping their captivity, because those stories always fascinate me. They captivate me. And
the Deadliest Game.
What's that?
The Deadliest Game. That story at the guy running. The hunter gives the whatever guy a head start, and he
yes. And you have to plan their escape as they're trying to survive.
Right.
I like the Ice-T version, Surviving the Game, 1994.
Oh,
yeah, that's right.
Or
classic, another forgotten.
Or the Jean-Claude Van, was it Hard Target?
Hard Target, yeah.
Target. See, there you go. So I was tapping into all these like films that I grew up watching, and it's right out. It's off the to the races with this story. It's the reason why I ballooned to 80 was because as I was writing the action, I started realizing if I keep this up and I keep it within 40 pages, it's going to cheat the reader from an actual edge of your seat experience reading it.
Sometimes you
and
got to
so
do that,
yeah,
like,
the story had to breathe.
It kept ballooning. And I was like, well, maybe if I do another edit, I could probably cut it down. And then when I did the other edit, it added 10 more pages to the script.
You were making discoveries along the way. That's why.
Yeah, and I
a
was
good
like,
story
oh,
will do that. It'll speak to you that way.
exactly. And again, going back to what we talked about, sometimes the characters or the stories just you have to follow where it takes you.
You follow where they go. And
Yeah.
plus, I agree with you. Like, if you're gonna do an action book, you need to bring the action. So, like, if you know what I mean, like if
not just the
this
action,
was-
but also the context to make it a little plausible as well, because readers do need a little bit of plausibility within the context of what you build in your story. And this story is a fight from underneath kind of story. It's the kind where she knows she can't go toe to toe with these hardened criminals. She has to outsmart them, outfox them, whatever it takes. And the whole story really is just her not only trying to survive and escape, but she has to also save the other victims that she found herself with inside that cargo.
That's cool.
So there's that. There's that she has to carry on her shoulders. And if she fails, it's over for everybody, not just her. So there's a lot of stake here.
I like that it's inspired by you're inspired by 70s and 80s action cinema. And then those eras were also some of the best for strong female action characters. Like,
that's right.
Sarah Connor and
Ripley.
Yeah, Ripley from
Ripley. There's a movie called Gloria, which is it was recommended to me by a friend of mine who actually, when I told him about the story I was working on, he's like, hey, have you heard of this movie called, I think it was called Gloria? And it's about a woman who protects a child from like a bunch of people who want to kidnap him. It's a 70s. It's a 70s movie. It's a kind of like a drama thriller, not really action. But I haven't had a chance to see it because I didn't want to pollute, the story I wrote.
Next thing you know, you're creating ideas unintentionally. Yeah,
exactly.
Who would you envision playing her in the movie if this girl?
What's her name?
I already have somebody in mind.
The actress who played Wednesday in the show.
Jenna Ortega.
Jenna Ortega would be perfect because she's tiny.
Go on.
And she's tiny, and she's that's exactly who I envision, someone who's small and realizing, you know what, like I gotta use my head here. I can't go toe to toe with these.
I got Michelle Rodriguez vibes.
That's a good choice. That's a good choice.
Like that.
Yeah. So, but like I said, she's a government agent, so she's skilled. She's skilled in surviving. So she's not a complete. She's not a citizen like a regular Joe Schmo citizen.
She's got actually a little bit of skill. Yeah, definitely.
A little bit of skill. Yeah, and of course her survival instincts kick in, as well as her maternal instincts, protecting the other victims in that cargo as well.
What about The Hunt? That had a female lead. My wife mentioned that too. The woman.
Is that the Predator movie?
What's that?
No.
Right? The one with the girl from Glow, and it's like it's almost like surviving the game where they're hunting people.
Oh, okay, all right.
There's a horror movie that came out during the pandemic. It was kind of under the radar a little bit, but that was a good movie.
I see.
Yeah, that was a real good movie.
A lot of good comments here. Tony said the art style is really unique.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Which is what is saying hard ticket to Hawaii.
That movie? Or is that a title suggestion? Ray?
It's got a gritty, like old school TMNT vibe a little bit too. You know what I mean? There's
my wife said I love a really strong female character. Yeah, definitely. Looks like that's what you
Hey James, how you doing?
That looks like what you brought to this though was like a real sense of character going into it, so it's not just an action movie. You really thought
it definitely is. It was a little that was a challenge because how would I, because that was a challenge for me when I was writing this. It was like, how am I going to get readers to connect with this character if I'm just going to go pure action. And so I had to write, a few scenes here and there to showcase a little bit of to showcase her bravery and her courage in the face of adversity. Like Nandor's story is kind of almost the same deal here. Is how is she going to come out of this without pretty much dying and being killed by these hardened criminals who will do whatever it takes to keep their operation secret and not have it come out.
These two female lead characters who join forces in the next comic.
There's a crossover.
Yeah.
There's a crossover waiting to
We'll
happen.
have to create like a bridge, Nandor.
Maybe the cargo
I back that book.
A device, that portal to Nandor's world. You know?
Yeah.
Or maybe Princess Aurelia goes to Florida on vacation or something.
But there is something to be said that. There's something to be said that both of you guys nailed the tone of the eras in which you were inspired by. You guys really put thought and heart into the project, both your projects, and it shows thoroughly.
Well, thank you. Yeah, like I said earlier, we know it sounds like we're all serious about our craft. We do want to get as many readers as possible, and I. As a comic book reader myself and a fan for like 20 plus years now, I love reading the comic book that it's a page turner. It keeps the sequentials keep me moving, and that's what I want to capture too. Is that urgency to turn the page to find out what happens next.
Yeah,
and it's once you I don't want to say master it, but once you have enough practice and you keep doing it over and over, it does eventually become second nature. And credit to Jim Shooter, because Jim Shooter had a blog, an active blog about like maybe 12, 15 years ago now, I think. It's no longer active, but when it was active, I used to visit it every day because he would post every day and he would give tidbits of
writing
priceless knowledge as to how to write a comic book. And it was like the best school I ever had
for free.
You know?
That's awesome, dude.
And he had a great a string of posts there about how writers should approach writing comics, and he gave a full detail as to don't do this, do this, and make sure you do this, and you'll be golden. And that's, I think some of those posts are still up if you go on jimshooter.com, I think. So if you guys want to check it out, I highly recommend it.
You have to check that out.
It was one of the best things ever, because a lot of things clicked when I read his blog. And so if by chance Jim Shooter ever comes across the stream, thank you, Mr. Shooter, for
I'll put a hashtag in there. Maybe you'll see it.
Yeah, there you go.
A couple great comments here too. My wife busting my balls here a little bit. Just thinking if it were a movie, Keith would want to see Ana de Armas.
I mean, come on. Come on.
Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't want to see?
Who wouldn't? Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all want to see that for sure.
Whenever I mention that girl, that actress, my wife's like, "Oh, you want to see Ana de Armas?" You know. And then Marco says it looks great and the story sounds amazing.
Thank you, Marco. Thank you.
And then Ben says Gambino's strong sense of design.
Oh yeah,
comes through on his pages. Yeah.
If you scroll down for a minute, Keith, to the 9-panel grid, this was the only page where I told him this has to be a 9-panel grid. It can't be anything else but a 9-panel grid. The rest, was up to him. But this one was like, no, it has to, because this is the moment where the reader, it needs to know where everyone is located at within the ship.
Yeah, the clock is ticking. It's like,
exactly.
And Gambino was the one who actually did the angles. So he did all that. So if you look, he made sure that no panel was the same.
That center panel's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is great stuff, man. This looks really good. One last question too. What because I know this is a second chance campaign. So do you recommend, like, I know you did less perks on this one. Is it more, the second chance?
Yeah, the second chance was mainly for the opportunity to get a chance to get Gambino's commission pieces. at the low price that they are now, because they're not going to be low after this.
Ridiculous. Both you guys with your artists that have really reasonably priced commissions here,
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
And dude, $5 for an 80-page PDF. I mean, that's
digital.
awesome.
PDF. I figured I'm a big fan of PDFs being cheap, and I'm not a big fan of PDFs being the price the same as a physical book. That just doesn't
I agree
make any
with
sense
that.
to me.
Yeah,
that should not be.
Yeah, it should be as cheap as possible, because then that way, if a reader is kind of unsure about you, they never read your stuff before, here's a chance for them to not take a big risk and just, I'll just buy the digital and see if I like it. And if I like it, I'll get the physical copy.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely. So physical copy, $15 for 80 pages. That's a
bargain.
It's a bargain.
That's great. That's great.
We wanted to have this accessible as possible. So this one is the sketch card bundle where you could pretty much commission him to draw you whatever.
Too, huh?
And that's you get a chance to own the actual page, because everything's traditional with Gambino. So all the pages you see are all by hand with paper and inks.
That's awesome.
He doesn't use Photoshop, which is a point of pride for him.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
And I was like, all right, well, whatever you want to do, man. It's all good with me.
Well, he's gonna, down the road too, he'll be able to sell the pages.
Yeah.
It's like a long game for him. He'll make money, down the road
selling
absolutely. This stuff. So
absolutely. Yeah, and they have the pages will have character as well, because there's a few pages where I had to have him redo a few panels, and he just kind of pasted over the redrawn panel on the old one. So you'll be able to lift up to see what he covered up.
That's pretty cool though. That's a very old school way of doing it.
Yeah. Very old school.
And you can say he has an original drawing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like digital with no originals.
Yeah, this is cool. This is good. So let me grab the link here. So if you guys want to check out the Second Chance campaign for Vigilant Fury, I know I already backed it. I think the original time. So when you had it,
cool. Thank you.
Like a year ago when you
it was a year ago. It was a year ago.
Yeah, I backed it then. So I'm can't wait, man, to get my hands on this. This looks great.
I can't wait for you guys to read it. It really is a labor of love, and it has everything I love in the comic book, which is action and thrills, and a great one, a closed off story. So there's no sequel. It's a beginning, middle, and end story. It's really it also comes out for a friend of mine years ago told me the best way to fight against violence is by force. And that always stuck with me, because that's when he told me when someone comes at you with violence, meaning they try to kidnap you, they try to hurt you, you should always use force to fight it back. That's the only way you get. Stand your ground and fight back. And that's what this story essentially is someone who decides, you know what, no one's gonna come save me. I'm in like literally hell, in a hellish situation, and if I don't do anything, we're all screwed. Like no one's gonna come save us, So I gotta do something.
Someone has to step up and take charge. Yeah.
She decides
to
do it.
I spit in your grave level type shit.
Yeah,
kind of. Yeah, a little bit. Oh my god, that movie was. Jeez, man. Once was enough. Once was enough.
Right.
I mean, satisfying. Don't get me wrong. It was satisfying in the end when she got her revenge. But jeez, man, my goodness.
When they do revenge movies right, they really work. Like you really feel like that, come through in the
but it's so heavy by the end. You just feel drained after watching a movie like that.
Blue Ruin.
That's why I love the original Hostel too, because like all that stuff happens to that kid, and then the second half of that movie, you just want him to get out of there and kill everybody. Like, it's so cathartic at the end, So that's why I love that movie too. But I think when they get when you get a revenge movie right, I think that's why it works. Is the video short?
I think it's like about the same, like a minute. It's just a
we can
few,
run
like a
that.
minute and a half, I think.
Yeah,
roll
we'll
that foot.
and we'll start wrapping up the episode here. All right, so hang on. Let's do this. Dude, awesome.
I love that trailer. It was just like the music, like it wasn't you explaining anything. It was just like, I'm gonna let this do the talking for me.
Yeah.
I love that.
That was all Gambino. He made that trailer.
That's dope.
And
it's great, man.
Like, hey, what do you think about this trailer? And I looked at it, I was like, what the hell, dude? This is great. Holy crap.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
And I just looked at Anna De Armas. Yes. I wasn't familiar with her work before, but
oh, dude, she's a knockout.
Yeah,
if Harry was wearing a bow tie, it would be spinning right now.
Yeah. Or the coyote from that famous Max Fleischer cartoon.
He's just hitting himself in the head with a hammer.
She's not half that. Oh, sorry.
That's great. But yeah, no, dude, it looks great, man. Both campaigns look awesome. So absolutely. I already backed Vigilant Fury. I'll have to get Nandor's campaign at some point. Probably do the PDF since my money's a little tight, but I'll definitely. Yeah. How many days
it doesn't matter, man. Yeah, whatever you can do.
Yeah. How many days left on both of your campaigns?
I have 9 days left.
9 days. And Nandor?
Yeah, and I have we just got to 17. So 17 days left.
Okay. Yeah, and you're 70%. You should be able to hit that, no problem. And then Julius, you have such a small goal, so you should be able to hit that no problem too.
Yeah, yeah. At this point, the first campaign was mainly to finance Gambino's well, not just Gambino's, but the budget to produce the book. And now this time around, it's a way to give us a little bit of breathing room for print cost and what have you.
That and you also went way overboard with pages, so this will help. Like, help
yes,
so that's exactly good.
And kudos to Gambino for sticking with me, because at any point he could have told me, I didn't sign up for this. I'm sorry, but no,
you said 40 pages.
Exactly. And that could have been the sign of like him thinking, like, I don't know what I'm doing, that kind of deal. And real quick, I told him, look, here's the script, 80 pages long. If you can find a way to cut it, you be my guest. I'll give you full carte blanche to cut whatever you want. And if you can make it work, I'm all game. And a week later, he came back and he says, yeah, we can't cut anything from this book.
I love that.
Cool.
I love that.
So, it's great. It's great that he saw that on the same level,
Yeah.
The same way Nandor and Marco are on the same level.
Yeah, honestly, you guys have a lot of parallels tonight. I gotta admit, like,
I noticed that too.
Strong female characters. You guys both have artists that are like fully committed too. They're like love the project and doing good work. So this was a perfect pairing tonight.
It's a writer's dream to find.
You got to do the crossover book.
We got to, man. We got to. We just got to. I think Nandor. We're gonna have to create a character that bridges the both worlds together.
Right. Right. That'd be so cool.
Absolutely. But guys, I'm gonna start wrapping it up. We've been going 2 hours and 10 minutes, which is
what a breeze. This was like,
doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, I've done this is probably my, I don't know, like 10th or so show that I've done so far. And this has been the most fun I've had talking about the book. So thank you for
thank you.
I love hearing that. I love hearing that you guys are having fun on this show. We try to be very loosey-goosey, but I got to admit, I loved our process talk tonight.
That was cool.
Probably should do more of
that was great.
Yeah, it's with guests. You know, I think that's a really cool.
The writers.
I love hearing people work, and then you kind of feel like everyone kind of does the same thing but slightly different. You know,
Right.
Yeah. We all learn from each other, you know.
Yeah,
and
that's
that's
absolutely.
yeah, like you gotta be humble enough to take the feedback and learn from other creators and try to see like, well, let me try that and see if that works for me.
Right.
So
Yeah, having that healthy ego, keep that in check too.
yeah, yeah, totally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Egos take down indie comic publishers.
And then when you do it right, you can just be like, I told you. Like I told you. This is like...
Right. I love the I told you so.
Yeah.
I had to say I told you so, but I told you so.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, gents, did you have anything else you wanted to shout out, like your social medias where people can find you? And I think you both have YouTube channels, right?
Yep. Go ahead, Nandor.
Yeah.
Well, you go first.
Sure. Yeah. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's Foxhole Comics on YouTube, and all of my books are published under that imprint or line, Foxhole Comics. So that's me. And so you can check me out on YouTube. I've been posting a lot more videos lately. I've been doing some video essays, and I do live streams when I talk about my books and projects and things. And then also I have a newsletter. You can find foxholecomics.substack.com, and I send them at least once a month. And I also will update people on things that I'm working on, and either, or just ideas or thought pieces or whatever. So you can find me there if you want to kind of have a more direct line to me, and want to chat about certain things. I always talk about things I'm watching or reading and things like that. And then you can find me on all the socials. I love to call Twitter or X or whatever. I love to call it X Twitter. So like you can find me on X Twitter and at Nandor Fox, and then you can find me on Instagram at Nandor Fox Shaffer. So I'm pretty easy to find if you can spell my name. So
nice. I love that. And he's got the smoothest voice in comics too, I gotta admit.
I should take that. The smoothest voice in comics.
Yeah, you like that radio voice. Wouldn't you say, Johnny? You worked in radio, doesn't he have like that voice?
Absolutely. The kid's born for it.
Yeah. Awesome. How about you, Julius? Where can
you can find me on X Twitter, as Nandor calls it. Right there, my handle is right there. You can find me there. You can find me on Instagram with alucidprd, and I also reactivated my YouTube account, so I have a few videos that dropped. I have a show with a co-host, a young man, a 22-year-old comic book reader who just started about a year ago.
Oh, cool.
And we have a show called Let's Talk About It, where we discuss various topics of the culture, the comic book culture, and the industry. And I come from the perspective of the old wise man, and he comes from the perspective of the new reader who goes to shop every Wednesday.
New chump? No.
He was it?
I said the new chump.
Yeah.
He comes from a perspective of the new wide-eyed, reader who he literally goes to the shop every Wednesday, and he goes, this looks good, this looks good, this looks good, this looks good.
Cool.
I'll try these, and then he reads them, and then he decides what he wants to keep reading and what he doesn't want to keep reading. And so it's a nice balance of the two. So we have that show. Let's talk about it. Also have other stuff to do. So
yeah, no, I'm glad you started your show again. I wasn't sure if it was still running or.
Yeah, Julius Freeman Comics is the
awesome.
Make
Harry,
sure
anything you want to shout out?
Rhode Island Comic Con this Saturday, but no big deal. Who cares? Also,
well, we'll talk to you next Monday about it a little bit. I'd love to.
I definitely want to report back on it.
They just added Bob Eubanks of all people.
Really?
Yeah, the game show.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Whoa.
Yeah. Human fossil.
Thanks.
So where's
I'm surprised he's still around.
So where's the weirdest place you made whoopee? In my butt. Anyway, well, yeah. That was like anyway. Also, Keith, do you remember Bruce Dodge?
Yeah. There's a guy we used to work with.
Right, we used to work with him at the other place, and she's working on a comic,
Is he really? I knew he was
Yeah.
a comic fan.
Yeah, he's like drawing one, and over the summer he asked me if I wanted to help him draw or illustrate it for him or finish it for him because
cool.
he had like a shoulder injury and he couldn't really. It was acting up and he couldn't really finish it or work on it. But I told him over the summer I was very busy doing my side hustle, my designing logos and whatnot, so I couldn't really do it. And he showed me his first page, and I'm like, oh, it's actually within the style that I can draw in, So
cool.
I mean, maybe I probably could have helped you, It's like so if you it's like he has like a bunch of them done, like 10 pages, roughly drawn pages, and he's like, well, maybe you can help me like clean them up and like maybe color them. I'm like, all right, so I'm like, let me try the first page. He's like, I want to throw 10 pages at you. I'm like, how about we start with one page, see if you like what I do with it, and then we'll go from there. He was like, okay.
Oh, that's cool. So you'll actually might be working on a comic then.
Possibly,
nice,
yeah.
Yeah,
Not
cool, man.
really illustrating it like I'd like to, but just cleaning, behind
Bruce,
the scenes.
Bruce, he had good taste in comics. That's one thing I remember.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to him in a long time, but yeah, he was a good dude. I liked we talked comics all the time, and he actually had some good stuff. So
Yeah,
I'd be curious to see what you guys come up with, actually.
Yeah. Well, I told him maybe if we make some progress with this, like we can like show off some pages like down the road or something, And
Yeah,
like, yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
He said also earlier when he was like telling me about this, he's like, it will be published in the upcoming Greenfield history book or something. And it's like, yeah, so it's
wow,
whatever.
Yeah, I'd say go for it, dude.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah.
Why the hell not?
I mean, now that I have more free time, I can probably, not that much more free time, but more than over the summer, so I can probably help him out with it and whatever. We'll see how it goes.
Definitely keep us updated on how it progresses.
Then we'll have Harry on as a guest.
Yeah.
Well, no. I'll just show off some pages like I did with the pumpkins.
Yeah, definitely. That's really great. How about you, Johnny? Anything you want to shout out?
A lot, actually. So I'm going to try to do a lightning round kind of thing.
Yeah,
but
do a
first
lightning
and
round.
Foremost, I want to thank Julius and Nandor for coming on the show, taking a good chunk of your time out of your day to promote your project, share your project with our audience. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely. You. And so for campaign, there's so many campaigns out there. Make sure to back Vigilant Fury. Make sure to back Fabled Offering. But there's some other ones that are kind of these other campaigns.
Star Noir Book 2.
Star Noir Book 2. So I'll get to that. But I'm going to say right now, The Evangelist Theory, number 2 by our friend CL Zeno. Number 2. It's 4 days to go. That's a last chance on that one. So see if you can pick it up. Our friend Zachary Marois, previous guest on the show.
Oh, yeah.
He's got Voyage on Indiegogo. You want to check that out. Tomorrow, Pops Van Sant's Madness Comic Network. The Roku channel that he's working on, that is very far from its goal, and it ends tomorrow. It's under 48 hours.
Yeah,
it's under 48 hours. So here's the thing: what I'm telling comic creators out there, if you're watching this and you're still within time, go back that, because you know what? They're giving away advertising. Number 1. That is phenomenal. You can write that off on your taxes. Number 2, if you're a podcaster, you can port your show over to there. It's on the Roku stick. Roku is not only a software streaming platform, it's also a hardware company. People buy Roku sticks to stream their content. So this is another backdoor into people's televisions to promote your work. They might just be ripping bongs one night and stumble across your commercial for your comic book. Like, come on, don't overlook that. So definitely check out that campaign. It's called the Madness Comic Network. It's expanding to Roku. It ends November 1st. Also, our good friend Sam Vera, he has number 6 of There's an Alien in Our Toilet. That also ends on November 1st. Yep. 48 hours to go on that. Also, we got our good friend John Celestri of Fire Fist Angel Book 2. That ends on November 2nd. I actually am also backing Sean Gordon Murphy's Zorro book, Zorro Man.
Too. I backed that.
That looks really cool. Yeah, and it's I want to get the hardcover one because it looks like it's exclusive. So that that ends on November 4th. Highly recommend that. Our good friend I met at New York Comic Con this year, JD Rosario. He's been in the chat the few shows, and he's been itching to come on the show, so we'll have to have him on. But he's got his campaign. It ends on November 11th. It's called New York versus the World, issues 1 through 3. It's looks like zombies in New York City. So kind of cool vibe there. Then, like we mentioned earlier, Star Noir, our good friend Tony James, his campaign, his latest newsletter said that the book cannot succeed if it doesn't overfund. So I want to see that book keep going. Highly recommend. If you haven't backed it yet, back it right now. And the last book that I just backed is The Fabled Offering #1.
Nice.
Thank you.
So, no worries.
That's
yeah,
great.
absolutely. Looking forward to reading that book when it comes.
Hey, Johnny, the fact when you mentioned Sean Gordon Murphy, I forgot to tell you guys, he commented on one of our videos.
No
way.
Get out of here.
So unfortunately, it was an episode that you weren't on, Johnny, and and Harry wasn't on as the co-host yet. It was that episode I did with Matt Man, and we had Quibix on. There was a section of the interview where Josh talked about growing up with Sean Gordon Murphy and how he kind of shaped him a little bit as an artist. And so I clipped that and put it out as a bit. And Sean Gordon Murphy commented on the video, said he loved seeing this. So I was like,
that's so cool.
Awesome. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I thought that was cool, So, to have like a guy like that comment on our channel was just like, wow, so
there's a few times I feel like we touch greatness.
Yeah. A couple times we had Roy on, stuff like that.
Roy Thomas on. That was a pretty big one.
Yeah. So definitely, so on to better and bigger and better things. Also, definitely want to thank both of you guys for coming on the show. This is like honestly one of the funnest shows I've hosted in quite a while. I think like just the
no offense to our previous guests.
Thank you for that.
It always helps that you guys are so cool to talk to, so
no, you guys
agree.
Really
like I think
all about talking about the process, talking about writing, talking about comics,
hanging out with friends.
Yeah. And, like I said earlier, we want to get to that wall, right? We want to we want our face on that wall. So
absolutely.
Well, why not?
You guys made sausage tonight,
Exactly.
We saw how it was made.
Yeah.
Yep.
So one thing I want to mention too, back both these guys' campaigns. The link is in the description of the video if you're watching this tomorrow or any other day. And then also one thing I want to mention is I will probably be closing Mighty Mascots sometime this week, so I can move on to my next issue and stuff. So back that if you haven't already. So, all right. Any last words before we close this out? No.
Happy Halloween tomorrow night.
Yeah. Happy
Halloween, everyone.
Yeah.
How are you guys celebrating? You guys celebrating any fun way or?
Just taking my little girl trick or treating.
Yep, I'll probably be out with my niece and nephew.
We might go to a Halloween trivia thing at Wachusett Brewery tomorrow night. So
that'd be cool.
That might be kind of fun.
I'm thinking about hitting up a arcade. There's a new arcade that opened up in my area that just like you pay $10 and you can play like tons and tons of arcade games for free.
That's
like
cool.
you just pay an entry fee, and I think they'll have this like outside theater where they'll show movies that you can just watch, and they'll have like theme nights and trivia nights and stuff. So I'm thinking about going to that tomorrow.
Yeah, that sounds like it'd be fun. Yeah, definitely.
That's cool. I'm gonna eat Reese's and watch American Werewolf in London.
Oh, nice.
Ooh,
that's a classic movie.
Yes.
I always watch it once a year, and usually around Halloween or my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And I will be watching The Crow tonight.
In black and white.
Black and white.
Turn down the color contrast on your TV. Watch it in black and white. You're very welcome.
Thank you. I will do that. One of my favorite films of all time.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, all right, everybody. Well, have a great week, and more importantly, read comics. All right. We'll talk to you later, everybody. See you next Monday night. Bye.